CECC, and there it is! Both platforms online, and Dip will take it home.
What a game.
Take a victory lap, take a bow, and take the headsets off and start to yell.
Racers. "55 teams entered 2 last chance qualifier brackets, hoping to earn a spot in the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup. 2 have qualified through. We've got one more matchup to decide that third team taking a trip to Texas. I'm Cat Knitter. That's plausible. Let's get this thing rocking."
Oh, how could we not already, right? We're down to the wire here. There is one spot left at the CEC finals in May. I mean, it's around the corner now.
Yeah.
You know, it was great. You know, we started these qualifiers way back at the beginning of fall semester. It's like, oh yeah, you'll have so much time. Time's run out. It's up. Turn in your exams, folks, because that's all you got left. It's down to just 2, SJSU and Cumberland, one of them coming in from the second bracket in our last chance qualifier. will have a chance to go to Texas. We finished up the first bracket off stream earlier today. That was between St. Clair and Fisher. St. Clair taking that in a 2-0, kind of as expected. It was Fisher Falcons, by the way. Look, there's so many Fisher teams. Falcons, though, it was absolutely the ZMM squad, you know. Fisher taking that, not terribly surprising, but both of those squads will have a chance to go as they qualified through the first bracket. But now we only get a chance to look at one more winner here, Kat. Just one.
Yeah, just one more winner. If you've been following the circuit of qualifiers thus far, you know SJSU had a taste at a seat, just barely weren't able to find it. They saw themselves in the CVAL West Grand Finals against SFU, where they could not take things their way. That was a 2-3 loss. That same storyline was true in the West Regional Finals for the CECC as well.
That was on one day
fell
too,
to
man.
Simon Fraser again, man, in a 1-2 fashion. So a best of 3 series, but the same result for that squad.
Those guys played 8 maps against each other in one day. In one day. That's tough, dude. And SJSU just barely losing out both times. They played every map that was in the pool. And now SJSU, they only have one more chance. They've just been narrowly losing in a lot of these finals throughout the entire year. It's good to see SJSU back in the conversation. You know, the 2022-2023 school year, you know, got a little bit quieter as they lost some of those really veteran players from long ago, from the beginnings of collegiate Valorant. But now they're back toward the top of collegiate. And as long as it's only SFU that end up being their Achilles heel, they've got a great chance to make it through. But maybe there's something to do with the finals pressure in general. Best of 3 ahead of us as they go up against.
Yeah, and then you talk about the other side of the coin, Cumberland, a squad that had a pretty successful run throughout the last 2 days. They beat the Mobap school, a school that was looking pretty dominant when it came to last year, Rebel Campus Clutch. This year, they stayed at the university. Some questions of whether they transfer or not, whether that whole roster was going to try to go together. They did stay tight, but they have started to look at a downward slope this year. At least the Cumberland has made them look at one today. Took them out in a 2-0 fashion. And then they come through and take down TAMU Maroon, a squad that if you watch Collegiate Valorant, you certainly know. A squad that I think you could consider an upset if you are the Cumberland side, as they make their way off of that now into, of course, Grants.
I mean, TAMU's been having one of their best years, full stop, right? I mean, especially this last semester or so, they've looked really, really good. Last, 2-3 weeks have been a little bit of a struggle. So Cumberland on a bit of an upswing, TAMU on a bit of a downswing. Same thing with Mobap. Cumberland taking advantage. They strike while the iron is hot, and they've got a chance here to get themselves one more upset. This would be the most grandiose of the upsets, I would say, though. Like, TAMU, great team. I think it's certainly feasible for Cumberland to beat them even a few more times, right? Like, if you put those guys against each other 10 times, I reckon that's pretty close to 50-50 between those teams at this exact point in time, that is. Whereas SJSU, they got a lot of pedigree. They got a lot to them. Yeah. I mean, not to knock the boys at Cumberland, Cluey and the squad, but this is definitely going to be a hard match for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at players like John Hamm, K3K, staples when it comes to collegiate Valorant, players that always have the chance to make something happen. When it comes to K3K, we saw them drop what was 18 frags in just 16 rounds of Valorant just a round ago. That happened, of course, off stream, but that just shows you how well this Jet is playing today. It makes you nervous, I think, if you're on the Cumberland side. But as we do look to get situated, get seated in this game, we got to give some shout outs as well to who makes these events possible. The Last Chance Qualifier is brought to you by ZipChair, the official gaming chair of the CECC. You can head over to zipchair.com to elevate your gaming chair today. When it comes to you sitting down, these matches have to sit down on some maps. Let's take a look at where the best of 3's headed.
Boo! Boo! Transition! Boo!
Oh, come on.
Look, you'll get it next time. I believe in you. We're going to Breeze here first. Cumberland picking that. No surprises there. It's one of their favorite maps. I'm glad you brought up K3K on the Jet, because him versus Swarm is going to be something I am absolutely keeping an eye out here. SJSU also have a special little flavor they like to throw in on Breeze sometimes. We'll see if Khan continues to pick up the Reyna that he has before on this map. It's divisive. It's certainly only something I would see SJSU running on Breeze. Then we go to Bind. I mean, Bind and SJSU, that's like the oldest pick, the oldest duo I can think of in collegiate Valorant history. These guys have, every iteration of this squad has always been good on Bind, and then Ascent, the bread and butter of collegiate Valorant. It's going to be a good series.
Yeah, when it comes to officials, don't have a ton to go off of course, for Cumberland. Haven't been in a ton of official matchups throughout this year, to be honest. Most of that's been Tier 2, and that's been like the Fun Haver Invitational events. So not a ton of match history for them. When it does come to Breeze, though, they tend to try to get there, so not surprised to see that be their first pick either. They've got 5 officials played on it this year, 3 of them in victories.
All right, now we get to see, have SJSU pivoted away from the Con Reyna? Yoru is something that's been picking up.
Oh, okay.
There it is. He locks it in. I'm actually super excited for this. I think there aren't enough collegiate teams utilizing Yoru right now. I mean, everybody's been watching Valorant Masters, right? The big dogs, a ton of teams have been picking up the Yoru, especially here on Breeze. There are so many tricky things you can do with it. Cumberland, a little bit more of a standard collegiate comp, I would say. They get the KO in there instead, and that is going to be the big difference between these two teams. I prefer the Yoru to the Reyna as well, so I think this is a good adjustment for SJSU for their composition, one that doesn't completely throw a wrench in everything that they were working on, but gives them a way to be aggressive and be unorthodox like they were with the Reyna, but with a little bit more punching power. I think the Yoru gives quite a bit more utility and team coordination help than Reyna did, where Reyna is really just, can you hit your shots on the day? If not, lose map.
Yeah, this is a composition that we've seen from them before. We saw them in round 2, a matchup against Cal Gold. They did play just one map of Breeze. It's the only time we've seen them play Breeze when it comes to officials this year, when it comes to this tournament specifically as well. That was a 13-3 on day number 1. That they did find a victory on this comp. So they've shown us that it can work, but can it work up against a squad with a little more in the tank like Cumberland?
I'm super excited for this. We're on into the grand finals of our second bracket. Cade already getting super aggressive. It's Cumberland that strikes first. Is this just going to turn into a bloodbath in mid?
Certainly starts such a way. Cumberland with those first 2 picks. They're looking for more. Swarm going to pick up 3. The Jet looking to do it all out early. Is already reading the number here when it comes towards elbow. Will start to work down the low HP bar on the Cypher of San Jose. Will do what they can on the B side. I think at best here, offensively, you're hoping to get a plant down. How much farther can you go than that? Swarm just going to wait on the cage. Plant's gone down, cage down. Enough room to see John Hamm and take him down. Looking for the ace. Shut down quickly by the Cypher. No worry, though. Murgazi has it. No trouble. And Cumberland on the board first.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold re-peek that Swarm actually goes for in the middle of the map. Those adjusted boxes in the very center give defenders a lot of ways to play around some early mid control, and Swarm gets right up in SJSU's faces, dashes out of there after getting Kahem, and then, I mean, just resets and goes for him while they're trying to retreat, trying to pivot over to B. So a great first round by Cumberland. This is their map pick. This is a place you expect them to be a bit more comfortable, but how crazy will it get and how quickly? Will SJSU, obviously this is just the second round, it's just the anti-eco here for Cumberland, but how quickly can SJSU punch back? And what sort of strategies are we going to see around this Yoru? Again, early rounds, it's hard to put too much onto Con to make something happen, but I want to see some cheeky trick plays, you know? That's why you bring him.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see what that strap book looks like. How deep do the pages run? It's going to be another look towards mid for SJSU, less towards the bottom side.
Cade is hoping Swarm goes for that exact same peak again, but Swarm is out of there, dude. He got 2 from that box. I don't know if you're ever going to see him back in mid. Not that deep.
And that deep is Cade early. He's going to find the Viper of Morgue right after the util comes out. A world of hurt for Kluey here up next on the chopping block, as Cade will have that one. RWN from the back of Spawn. Able to pick up 1. Rest of the team going to come tunnel now. Con just barely able to tuck behind broken wall before it's too little too late. John Hamm another picked up. SK will grab a trade. Stinger still activated here for Cumberland, but numbers dwindled. Looking at what is a 3-on-2.
Oh, and Cade just straight up loses the fight. I mean, hard to imagine that Cumberland don't fall now. Yeah, I mean, what a re-clear from SJSU. I mean, the fact is Cumberland don't go for that aggressive mid play again, and SJSU, they're looking for it, and when it doesn't come through, they're like, hey guys, can we just walk mid? They catch Hot Dog 63, aka Morgaus. Just what a ridiculous name, Hot Dog 63. Catch Morgaus, honestly, seemingly unaware, playing a really deep position in tunnel. No one's assisting him. I mean, RWN was like hanging around window for a while, but then pivoted away. Tough timings there for Cumberland in the second round, and now the economy's flipped on its head.
Econ flip on its head. SJSU going to look to carry that momentum now into the B site. That's just the Cypher close range. Cluey, we'll see what they can find. Right now looking at a Euro, not sure if it's a clone or not, so no shot's going to come through, even though they do have info off the cam initially.
This is going to be a really tough retake, though. I mean, it's 5 players alive. It's a better economy for SJSU. Swarm, maybe he catches a timing on Yuri. He's got some help coming this direction, but oh, careful where you peek your head out, Swarm.
They found my wire.
Not careful enough. Yuri going to find the first, tucked under window. Can they grab more coming out of that elbow side? And has done just that. K3K good timing on the crossfire as well to save their teammate from any sort of refrag. SJSU just get to dominate behind this toxic screen. There's nowhere to go in. If you're Cumberland, it's straight into bullets. You'll find that out if you're the Sova as well. Rui good for 3. SJSU will score both off the eco and then after.
Now we walk into our first real gun versus gun round, and I'm honestly keeping my eyes on Morgaus or Hot Dog 63. Where is this toxic screen going to go? B thus far has been the problem, even in the pistol round. Yeah, sure, Cumberland won that handily, but it was still SJSU who found their way onto B, and the Cypher alone of Cluey, who normally is a top fragger for this team, has just not had enough backing to really stop a B play. SJSU are looking at A this time. RWN trying to keep Hall's control, but I mean, that trapwire set up there. RWN's probably going to fall off this position pretty quickly, and Yuri could potentially sneak through if Swarm doesn't be extremely careful with the timing. And look how much space Cumberland have given. They have no information anywhere.
Yeah, no info. SJSU haven't really poked into anything just yet. If they do work this B side, I'd argue you've got some good spacing. If you are Cumberland, Cam will lead you in. You'll have help from the Viper as well. You gotta make sure that Morg doesn't get caught on the back end like he has consistently been. And won't this far. We'll get back behind his own screen, but it's disaster early. That's the backside anchor of Cluey is gonna fall. That's K3K to pick it up. That's the only entry they need as well. Site's taken, plant's gone down.
And that's the info too, right? You don't have the camera on site anymore to try and enlighten you to where these positions are being played by SJSU. It's pretty much just gonna be a flood from backside here. And Cumberland, they're already down a player, and they have to go up against so much util as well.
Another
drop was hard.
From the Jet, looking for more from back castle as well. Kahem gonna get in for the repeat. Yuri will pick up Swarm, and Cumberland getting melted down. Almost had no chance in this round. Strategically picked apart by SJSU early. K will do what they might for exits. Does manage to pick up one. At least the Cypher going to go down. But now everything in spawn. It's a firing range for K. Looking for another, but can't quite get the bullets to land on Khan. But I'd argue econ damage enough, Paul.
I mean, it's enough if Cumberland can get their feet under them quickly. Unfortunately, they do go back to an eco here, and SJSU have a ton of money. So, I mean, that's what happens when you flip the second round, right? It's hard in the early sets of the half for you to ever really run out of money. Cumberland, I'd really like to see them go back to kind of what they were doing on the pistol. I know it was just one round, but you can't give SJSU this much space. A team that's played together this long, that's this comfortable with each other. A team that is in the upper echelons of collegiate Valorant, they're going to know how to execute onto a site if you let them get everything they want.
Kate's already through yet again, looking to get everything he could ever want as K will fall. Another remote Swarm down as well. The Kunai on the money thus far, and yet again is SJSU into a site.
I mean, Cade's just feeling it, dude. Cade is so nasty with it. Oh, already 3. Oh, he's going to get 4 here as well. Oh, okay. Nice shot from Cluey. So, doesn't get 4. So, that one's my... I mean, he lives up to his name at least. It is Cade 3K, not Cade 4K. So, we'll take those, I suppose. And SJSU will absolutely take a very clean 4th round here. Cumberland. How are they going to change up the strategy? You see, okay, Swarm is adjusting to head over to B, but thus far, these early rounds have been so silent from Cumberland. Even when SJSU meet resistance, they've been able to kind of feel it out and just rotate away from it. So unless Swarm is actually able to pick something up, and keep in mind with their economy, he doesn't have an op. He's never had an op yet. We're going in around 6, then he just doesn't have a chance to build up and save the economy for it. So he's got to get something done with a rifle and with his buddies at his side.
Extra presence going to go towards mid here. It's instantly sniffed out. That cam is so
What a
cheeky.
cam.
Give him all the info they could have ever needed. Swarm will fall early. Call pick up another. There is RWN ratting in heaven, but for how long can he be there? That first pick gives it away. John Hamm going to pick up 2 more from the top ropes. And Cluey now left alone on B. Obviously, San Jose don't need to go there. Won't go there. They'll walk straight into A. Plant will go down. You got a choice if you want to save this rifle or not, but it's going to be almost a pseudo timeout if you think about it.
I mean, is he really going to have a chance to save it? If I'm SJSU here, you know,
You're rich, bro. Run him
4v1,
down.
you have to imagine they're going to hunt him down. Look at how much money SJSU has. And what a read at the beginning of that round. I don't know if that's like Yuri calling for that cam, or maybe it's John or Kahem who are often in the comms. But man, what a beautiful read. You know that Cumberland has to change something up. Oh, what's the one thing that's worked for them so far? Oh, when they pushed Swarm onto that box in the middle. So let's just have like 2 people wait for Swarm and then have a camera sussing out whether or not he'll actually go for this push. And even if he doesn't go for the push, right? Even if Swarm doesn't push there, that's just free space that you get to inch forward on because the camera clears it all for you. It does seem like Cluey at least will be able to save the rifle, so at least there'll be a hero vandal of sorts going forward. But that's 5 in a row for SJSU. Cumberland been basically silent since the pistol.
Yeah, I'm almost a bit surprised not to get a timeout into that rifle round, give them just a better chance at setting up defensively for it. I mean, they do kind of get a timeout there in how long that save is, so hopefully we get some more adjustment coming out. I do think, though, yeah, the read with the cam is just so nice, but when it comes to the switch up from the defensive side, trying to take more space into mid, trying to play back into mid faster, which is kind of how they won the pistol round as well off that Swarm 3K. But unfortunately, it's read too nicely. They couldn't make it happen. They're going to opt to really stack up into B here, and then it'll be full site retake on A.
And SJSU, they just know again. They just know again. And even if they didn't know, they're slow clearing towards cave here. Easily done. They throw it up, and there's just no one that could ever contest them here. Gotta love seeing the dimensional drift. 100% clearing out the side. Hey guys, there's nobody home. We're good to plant. Let's set up however we want for the post plant. Khan even going to mid doors there. Not afraid of someone rushing through. Not afraid of all of them rushing through mid, because you still have Yuri hanging around there too. It's just picture perfect for SJSU right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned that slow clear. They're going to have so much utility still for this post plant. RWN able to swing one back, so was K. Guardian now in his teammates' hands, and suddenly things go the way of the defensive. They just walk in and hit some shots. John going to try to hold up things. Does slow it down with a snake bite. Now forced away. Would have to go into Fragile to find this one. Finds Hot Dog through the first bit of smoke. So low, has to wait for the snake bite. Swarm able to swing the shots, but there's not enough time to defuse despite it's halved. It's 5 rounds the difference now.
So close, Cumberland. So close. I mean, that's one of those rounds where everything goes right in the blink of an eye. SJSU do actually set up in some pretty bold positions, right? Like, I'm not in love with Khan and Yuri both being like out toward mid doors. I think it's very easy for you to get isolated or have to turn your head on a swivel and lose those 1v1s. So SJSU not exactly taking their firepower advantage to them, but what an insane play at the very end there. 2 HP getting that done. John Hamm. Absolutely ridiculous. And I love the way John Hamm contested that early, too. It's like, I'm in a 1v3. Somebody's going to go for the spike right now, and I have to get that first pick because that's the only way I'm winning this. If John Hamm is forced out of cave and there's or forced into the back of cave, like towards market, right? Or where market used to be, I guess. And there's still 3 people alive, you're never pushing back in. You're never winning that. You're not enough of a threat when there's 2 guns looking at you. But beautifully done. Again, SJSU from top to bottom right now, just feel in the zone.
Yeah, and I think this timeout going to serve almost two purposes. Cumberland a chance to bring a coach in and have a conversation of how do we adjust defensively. We tried to figure it out. We weren't able to do so. Please give us some guidance. At the same time, San Jose play some more aggressive positions, as you mentioned. The only real way to, I think, throw away this lead is to get overzealous. We start to see them play a bit farther forward, play more for these 1v1 gunfights. This timeout gives them a chance to calm down as well.
And these slow contact plays have just been working for SJSU. There haven't really been any aggressive combinations of utility to contest them while they walk towards site. I mean, even now you see the Hunter's Fury largely whiffing. I mean, it gets the one tag later, but Klui's teed up to die, left alone on site without a gun to support. There is a quick, really quick flank from Swarm, actually, who stops the spike plant. I mean, that's nasty, but you need Cumberland to swarm. They need to get a, yeah, perfect. They need to circle this Viper's Pit and lock them in.
Trying to lock them in. Cade trying to shoot them back out of it. Castle, Pit gone now. As Swarm will walk through the archway and take John Hamm. That put Cade 3K back Castle in trouble. Cade will take him down early, and Cumberland out the timeout into a round win.
Nicely done. Huge play there from Swarm, finding the timing there. No one had yet tried to contest a quick flank from Cumberland, so SJSU didn't really have a reason to put up any of their utility behind them away from the site. Now they're going to be keeping their heads a bit more toward the rest of the map. They're going to be keeping their eyes everywhere. Or are they just going to rush to A through mid? I mean, there's a toxic screen here. This is going to be explosive.
You're not expecting this one from how slow they've been playing either. Swarm going to step into it. You're right.
Wait, but he's got the flank on Khan if he goes quick.
So the rather awkward Khan going to pick up one. So now is the info.
Oh, it's
a TP away. The Yaru difference. No one. Oh. Watch it. Kahem's back. He gets caught in a drone. A second picked up from Swarm. Trying to back out of this one as there are trades here for Yuri. Top ropes as Khan will pick it up. Is able to swing it back. They've got mid control. No overheat either. Khan able to pick up K before he can get out of trouble. And that's given SJSU all the mid control. They'll take it over to A.
Yeah, what I say, a bloodbath mid. Anytime a Jet is poised up at mid doors defensively, you know that they're gonna get aggressive. I at least like Cumberland fully committing to that play. There were a lot of players trying to pool into the success of Swarm there, but the timing doesn't quite work out. The sound cue, I guess, doesn't come through. I thought Swarm was going to be able to give the info on Khan, who was sprinting through that poison orb and gets deep mid very quickly, but I guess he didn't hear it with all the gunfire going around. Klui's just done and dusted. SJSU pick up right where they left off and have a very comfortable lead.
Yeah, it's almost unfortunate. You get the double push mid for Cumberland. They get space. Swarm has good positioning, but it's SJSU just happen to have 4 players bottom mid. So the trades are going to be there regardless. I mean, Swarm does an excellent job of catching out a Sova very early, grabs 2 frags. You think, okay, anything's possible for this team. And even then, it's SJSU just in the right place at the right time, shutting it down rather quickly.
And back to Eco we go. Just a single Hero Vandal there for Swarm because he's one away from the Blade Storm. So if he gets a pick or dies instantly, it doesn't really matter. He'll have at least some sort of weaponry next round. Oh, and look at this from Cade. No one's gone up holes the entire time. That second trapwire was moved over to B because it was such a nightmare spot for Cumberland to defend. That door's going to open.
Swarm. Is he going to push through the smoke? Screen down. Shots here, and Swarm does pick it up. We'll take down Khan. Looking for more. Can't quite find it. Kahem will trade that back. Rest of the team for Cumberland not here just yet, so you're sitting moat. You're awaiting the arrival of the rest of the gang. K3 going to walk behind, has the chance to really shoot the lights out early, and the patience going to be there for the Jet. Has info, can give 2 comms, a 3rd comm now, knows where everybody is, going to pick them up slowly, picks up 2 from Bridge. This one done and dusted already. K3K so patient, and it pays off in the post play.
it does pay off. I think maybe that setup is a little dubious from SJSU. They can get away with it because Cumberland didn't have the ideal resources, but Khan just waiting for the toxic screen to drop struck me as odd, especially since when that screen drops, Cade wasn't actually waiting by the door to open it like I thought he was. He was waiting for the late flank through defender spawn, basically. And you can see he was struggling to actually get the right angle at the very end there. So there's a world where that ends up being more tricky, but not this one. SJSU instead with a lead of 6, immediately popping 2 ults as well. They're wasting no time getting to B.
Dart gonna come forward to try to make this Fury pop, and it's done just that. Cade 3K gonna pair it with an ult of his own.
Look at all the info you get from that combination of ults. You throw the recon dart on a long angle so it times with the dimensional drift getting to sight, and then you have the Hunter's Fury. There's no way in the world you're missing the Hunter's Fury when you have all of that info collapsing at the same time. And even Cade in their faces with the Blade Storm. It's just nuts. This is what I love about SJSU.
Yuto combo, fantastic. It's another flawless round converted by the Spartans, who continue on the winning ways. Now 7 rounds the difference. We saw Cumberland 3 rounds ago finally pick a round up. It came out of their timeout. Unfortunately, you only get 1 per half, so this one certainly could go down the 10-2 route.
I mean, 10-2 would just be disastrous for Cumberland, too. This is a map pick. This is where I thought, yo, we'd get Swarm, Operator. Oh, we'd get Cluey on Cypher really popping off. Swarm hasn't even gotten to consider an op, right? He can't buy himself a Bentley when his old Toyota barely makes it to work.
It's not running like it used to.
Oh, man. It's been tough here. I mean, even in this round, Cumberland not immediately committing the Viper's Pit, want to try and counteract an SJSU push, but will they have the time? SJSU thus far have been playing very slow and controlled in the early round, but when they go for a site hit, nothing stops them.
Yeah.
Finally, the pit gets laid down, and that will make SJSU potentially reconsider once they see it, but they also have tools to potentially flush out Morghouse as well.
Here. Let's see if they opt to pinch onto this one or not. We've seen them play into the pit before. Looking to do so right now. They're going to work first a broken wall, want to clear out spawn, and then go from there. Whoa! Dart tucked by Swarm, now behind wall, dashes into trouble, does pick up 1. It's a quick trade by the opposing Jet as SJSU continue on their way. They're going to go 2 into a side. Morg to pick up 1 with the judge a second. Kuri will have value out of spawn as well. And SJSU folded, working their way into the B site.
When in doubt, rat it out. Just play ratty. Oh, Morg, you judge. Ugh, gross. Ugh, I have a bad taste in my mouth. But hey, a win's a win, Cumberland, so I gotta respect it in one way or another. At least it's 3-9. It's somewhat salvageable here for Cumberland, assuming they win the pistol. I mean, Swarmer's doing his best to try and keep up with Cade there, but the decision-making from SJSU, combined with how comfortable they already see on this composition, despite the fact that this is the first week, we're really seeing it from them against other top teams in collegiate Valorant. It's so well executed. What a amazing attack from SJSU. That's why they're one of the best teams in collegiate. Now all they have to do, I mean, if they win a pistol, you can basically send us over to bind already. But even if they don't, it feels like only a matter of time. Cumberland, how are you going to stop the clock?
Door opened from the Sova early defensively. Jiggle peek to info. Has seen, I believe, both. We're going to know there is some action happening here in the halls.
Cam is going to have to go all the way back to defender spawn, or at least the bridge, to try and contain this. Bridge is a little bit riskier to play on that angle, honestly. Because if you get overwhelmed here, if Kahem gets double swung, there's a world where the pinch onto site is nigh unstoppable.
Yeah, a lot of work you have to do as the Sova. Does manage to switch just in time, takes a bit of damage to the arm, but does have info. Players are there. Just going to go to spawn. Gahem will try to work the one-on-one. That one, no trouble.
Wow.
Repositioning very much effective. Khan will pick up the first in the front line as well, and no choice but to back away from this one entirely if you're Cumberland.
Khan actually picks that up in the back line. He Milo-mooed behind Swarm. TP'd and was like, oh, there's a jet here. Swarm had dropped off the bridge to try and chase Cam around. And the timing there, again, SJSU's best friend, Cumberland's worst enemy, timing. And I mean, Yuri can just give this site. A 5v3 in the pistol is certainly winnable. The only thing you really need to be careful of is this lurk out mid, and Morgause, he has to keep his eyes on so many different directions. I mean, we'll just barely get the first, but 20 HP? Yeah, come on.
Yeah, easy cleanup for K3K. The rest of the team on their way towards the site. This post plant could have legs out of elbow, but you got to get here quickly. The teammate Ladder in trouble and now dead. RWN, cheeky angle to grab one a second as well. Both players healthy now and on the over-under angle. This is going to be difficult, and it's just not possible. Khan will pick it up with the likes of the Sheriff. It's SJSU to win the pistol. And you got to think hope is nigh for CU.
Yeah, I mean, Cumberland, I liked the idea, too. That's kind of the tragedy of it. I enjoy the two-player pressure going all the way up halls, especially in a pistol round. Where util is more scarce and you have to really be keeping a player. You have to be keeping physical eyes on halls rather than just throwing a trap wire and forgetting about it. But man, Kahem was just impossible to pin down. Swarm overextends a bit, disconnects himself from Kluey, and they both get picked up in 1v1s off timings. It's tough, and after that happens, there's no way in. Now it feels like there's no way into this whole series. That's a cheeky little flash. Swarm, can you do anything with it? Nope.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. There's a decent amount of innovation from Cumberland, but at the end of the day, it's an FPS. You got to hit the shots. Unfortunately, not able to hit the shots on the way in. Plant will go down. So some life.
Oh.
Okay, 180 for John Ham. No bullets in the gun, and somehow still outside of the grasp of K. Manages to get away. Cheeky pop yet again to catch Kahem. Or catch K, excuse me, from Kahem. That flash going to come through on the likes of the clone. Defuse stopped at the very last second, melted away. It's Kahem by the likes of Morgause. But is that enough to hold on for this team? They've got to work back in. Someone has to get shots on the diffuser. John Ham won't let that happen. RWM going to fall. Morgause flank is just too far. Gets all the frags, but unfortunately, the round, my friend's over.
Yeah, hey, you know, if we were playing dodgeball, Morgause would have just absolutely saved his team. Unfortunately, it's 11-3. You have no economy. And SJSU are just going to buy, because why wouldn't they? Just keep Cumberland's economy as pressured as possible. They're the ones on a timer, not you. So this is a perfectly fine decision from SJSU, despite the fact that they lost everything on the second round. And the real question is Cumberland, can they find a way to stabilize? You know, the fast play worked-ish, right? But
sure,
these even trades aren't going to be enough, and losing trades are even worse. Kluey's having a tough day. Kluey statistically is one of the best performers on Cumberland, but this has not been his map.
Well, I'd argue Paul hasn't been most of the team's map.
I mean, Swarm's hanging in there.
Regardless, looking for signs of life where we can find them. The whole team going to work elbow. Haven't quite been able to win the one, so I like the option to work it as a unit. See if they can rely on this util to get them in the door here. On site, Hunter's Fury out early, gonna try to clear castle, doesn't find Khan, who finds yet another outlaw frag. Morgause gonna trade it now. Is it too late for this squad on their way in, and now without a null? Maybe not. Morg will pick up another K, has John Ham. And signs of life yet for the attacking side. You're at a broken wall, gonna catch Morgause with the back to him, excuse me.
Spike's still not planted. Oh, it's tragic. Oh, it's tough. Cade on the long flank. Oh, you could see the nerves for Cumberland. Finally, they got themselves to like a 2v2, a winnable post plant potentially, but it wasn't a plant. They had to inch their way forward, worried the entire time. Yuri, is he going to swing? Yuri, is he going to fight us? When is Cade going to get here? Where's Cade going to come from? Spoiler alert. One place you're not expecting is where Cade arrives. 12-3. And not how I thought the first map was going to go.
they're able to fight their way into sight, and it almost feels like they're surprised that they were able to get there. Like they get into sight, they get space, and it almost feels like, okay, now what do we do with it? Almost like they weren't quite expecting things to pan out the way they did. Now on match point, pit early into A, but that's not where the spike sits. You're gonna TP away. Oh, that could spell disaster. More down early by K3K. Wait a minute, nobody's here. Was it a ruse? Will they rotate as this plant comes down?
I mean, Dimensional Drift is up though. Khan is just, I mean, everybody's just gonna wait for Khan to give them info. Util's gonna dump onto the site. And Cumberland, surely they're going to get overwhelmed. RWN is going for a flank through mid, but his timing is off. He's going to get caught.
John just barely not able to find the head, but certainly will afterwards, as Yuri will find 3 on the round. SJSU take Cumberland's map pick in epic fashion, 13-3, the final scoreline.
I said it was going to be hard for Cumberland to win this. They do not necessarily get up to the start they were hoping for on their own map pick, a map that SJSU doesn't even normally play that often.
Yeah.
Slaughtered is the only way to put it. SJSU looks so good with this composition. I mean, on their attack, nothing didn't go their way except that very first round where they get caught off by Swarm, and then they never let it happen again. Instant adjustment. They pivot around that. They stop the few times that Cumberland are trying to ever go for something proactive on their defense, and every other round it's Cumberland waiting back and hoping SJSU will make a slip up. That slip up never comes. It's a monster of a half for SJSU. And even on Cumberland's attack, it just seemed like they had already felt like they lost the map, right? Like that second to last round is what I kind of keep coming back to, where it's like, okay, they have the right execute. They had a recon dart ping for their own Hunter's Fury, and the Hunter's Fury goes wide by like 30 feet. And the swing for Swarm doesn't go well because of that, and then it just all falls apart with that flank from Cade that you've got to be thinking of that late into the round. But an unfortunate start for Cumberland. I like to think that after beating teams like TAMU, after beating MBU, this isn't peak Cumberland that we just watched. I hope we get a little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather, and maybe they can give SJSU a bit more of a fight on map number 2.
Yeah, this team, I'd say, are in a bit of a bind right now. That's where we'll go when we come back, but
you're 0 for 2.
Break before we get there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome to the LCQ Finals. LCQ Finals.
Welcome back, one and all, to the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup Last Chance Qualifier. I'm Catinator, that's Pausable. Map 1. Ooh, do we even really talk about it, Paul?
Did we get a map 1? I mean, looking at the time,
Somebody did.
I don't know. SJSU did. That's true. Yeah, no, burner. Absolute burner. We're going to need a heat check for SJSU pretty soon here. They're going to need to cool their engines off, certainly. Well, actually, no. They really don't want to cool off at all. They want to keep that fire rolling. They certainly burned Cumberland. I mean, what a monstrous way to start this series. SJSU, again, a team that this year has been back in a way, but struggle to really like convert those big important moments. But it's all also been against the same team. They just keep losing to SFU in finals of literally everything that SJSU makes it to the finals for. SFU is there and beats them by one map. So SJSU, it's good to see that is just a Simon Fraser University problem for them and not a we're getting to finals and getting too nervous kind of problem, because they have just been frying today.
Yeah, they certainly are up to stature. The stats look phenomenal. They look one, if not two, if not three full steps ahead of this Cumberland University squad as it currently sits. And then we look at map number 1. We look at players like K3K having such a monstrous performance. And that's on a map pick that, of course, is not their own. But when it comes to K3K, 6 First Bloods, always having the upper hand. And that pairs hand in hand with their other large frag player of Khan, who has 5 First Bloods in map 1 as well.
So 11 out of 19 rounds, just those 2 players are getting First Blood. Just those 2 players getting First Blood. I mean, that's ridiculous. Especially considering that, like, we saw the times where it was Cumberland getting it. It's like, oh yeah, sure, you know, pistol swarm popped off, or they would get a 1-player lead, but it would be for an advantage they'd sacrifice elsewhere on the map, and it just didn't end up playing out the way Cumberland would hope. So I hope in our brief break between maps here, they've maybe taken a moment to deep breathe, breath in, deep breath out, figure out whatever's going on in the comms, because this looks more disjointed than I had expected coming into this series from Cumberland. It didn't really feel like anything they wanted to do was hitting, and they weren't quite as proactive on Breeze as I would have liked them to have been. Now we get to see a fun difference in compositions. When was the last time you saw a Gecko versus a Reyna, Kat?
You know, it's actually in like an official. I don't think I have.
I have not. Yeah, that was a trick question. You've never seen one, because why would you? That's absolutely absurd. I mean, Gecko has been gaining some popularity, right? As Sky has been brought back down to a more reasonable level. So I like to see Hot Dog 63, aka Morgas, bringing up that echo here. They're coming on the other side. You know, Reyna and Bind don't necessarily seem synonymous to me most of the time. But I guess it's just a Con and a Cade kind of day, you know?
Yeah, this is the comp they've been rocking with now for 2 semesters. So they certainly have found success with it. If there's anyone that can make it look good, it will be them. The only time it doesn't really work for them recently was at DreamHack Atlanta, where they lost in Grands.
That was 4 months ago, too.
But like they've got some time to workshop it even further. And when it comes to this year specifically, they've won both sets of matches with the comp.
Yeah, I mean, the reason you give Cade the Reyna here is because he's just a nut mechanically. I mean, we saw what he did on the first map, 6 First Bloods, 373 ACS, and now he's got a chance to do it all again, this time on Reyna, a snowball of an agent. Let's get backed off a little bit here. Not quite the decisive control over A that SJSU were hoping for, and they lose out on the flank too. Oh, they're going to double back. I love this. Yuri containing.
I love the way SJSU are able to delegate space and step away when they know they don't have it. Just completely walk away from what could have been a pincer. Yuri going to pick up Swarm on the back end. That's put the Gecko of Mr. Hot Dog in quite the precarious scenario. Going to take the one, win it, no trouble. Pick up a Sheriff for his first
I don't know. Everybody
win.
Who's had that Sheriff has lost their fights. It might be cursed.
Talking about Ion specifically or just Sheriff?
No, that specific Sheriff.
No, okay,
and Cade gets away. Oh,
is that a classic collat?
What just happened? Okay, yeah.
Two for one special?
Classical.
Collateral?
No, didn't happen. Try to
Yeah.
get there. I'll workshop it. Wow, okay, so... The observer doesn't like my pun. Hey, you know, I didn't like either of your puns, but at least the observer didn't shake his head at you. So you got that going for you, Kat.
Yeah, I got a cam into the broadcast booth. He shook his head just physically.
All right,
Don't
we'll
you
see
worry.
if we'll see if Cumberland can actually maintain their second round this time. This, of course, is where everything started going wrong on Breeze, and it's actually a buy. It's a stinger buy from SJSU. Most teams don't do this anymore. Will Cumberland expect it?
Could be PTSD here in a moment. SJSU gonna start scaling as a double satchel early into Lamp. Swarm gonna take the fight with the nade up first. Will eat his own shrapnel to get in the position, and that's enough to surprise the opposition. Now out of bullets though, Yuri, K, John all gonna find picks, and the Stingers are coming out in tow. Weapons picked up for the team. John pick up another. And suddenly, you're just alone. Morgazi TP away. They figure the Viper's already back sight. Not the case. This will be awkward.
I mean, Chloe's got a great timing here. Cade, is he going to look the right way? Oh, no. I mean, but Chloe has no idea that the other SJSU player is on the opposite side of the map, so he's waiting for a swing that's not coming for another 30 seconds.
The screen is perfectly placed as well to start this defusal. Screen up now. Gives John Hamm a chance to play behind it, though. We'll throw up the molly. Chloe on top of box. Will nail the shot and is able to defuse over the Molotov as well. It's 2-0 for Cumberland, not letting the same thing come to fruition on map number 2.
What a silly couple of first rounds. What a silly couple of first rounds. We had the first, but this actually isn't SJSU coming back in, because keep in mind, that was a full Stinger, like light and heavy armor buy. So Cumberland, yeah, their economy's not looking great, but it's better than SJSU's. They're narrowly able to win out on these first couple of rounds. You know, it's felt like the theme of the early stages of both these maps today, Kat, has been to be the best, you gotta be lucky. Because it feels like Cumberland is having all of the luck they were denied on Breeze now. Will that luck stay with them?
Yeah, you know, you're
Poor
lucky
guy.
and then there's unlucky. Two sides of the spectrum. Khan caught out by the Dizzy. K gonna take K. 3K. And SJSU now step down a short and into a winning fight. Yuri and Kahem both gonna pick up frags out of nowhere, it seems. Swarm to trade back, but he's gone as well. What is going on defensively?
Okay, Cumberland, SJSU, I promise you more than 2 players can be alive at the end of a round. I promise you guys. Please. Oh, man. The real question is how good is this flank going to be from RWN? Look, Yuri and John, they want to go clear this out, but John's so low.
Oh, that timing to tuck behind screen. RWN gonna be none the wiser. Now back in the angle, does pick up one. Seekers all invested into the round just to guarantee it does get one. You go for the early frag if you're John. He can't quite find it. Now nearsighted and dead. Cumberland, good for a third.
Oh, these gunfights have been silly, man. No way RWN runs out of bullets after the Seeker. The snakebite misses by a hair, so he just leaps through his own buddy snakebite onto a somehow blinded John. That's so silly. Oh, man. Okay, guns on the board. 3-0 for Cumberland, but SJSU finally have a good chance to turn this back, but we do see what Cumberland failed to put in their hands the entirety of Breeze, an operator, not for Swarm, but for Hot Dog 63, aka Morghouse, instead. He's got a Dizzy here. This is going to be deadly if anyone was there to meet it.
Yeah, Dizzy gets a bit dizzy on his own. Morgazi, good for the first. Cave 3K gonna fall. It's a slow scale down ramp. Swarm will be here first. Able to pick up John Hamm, no trouble. We'll satchel away. There is some San Jose players on the site itself.
Deep sight, too. I mean, they're actually going to push through defender spawn and let Yuri try to contain and make sure none of the other players get away. There is a snail's pace of a chase happening in defender spawn. Okay, does he tuck himself into the right corner? I mean, Cumberland, no. They know 100% where they've isolated these players to. So Kay's thinking about it, and now he knows.
Back away to the teammate as well. Excellent work. Great decision making. Plant's gonna go down. A swing from RWN into nothing, and no refrag just yet either. Gives some room to work with here defensively, and that room getting slowly squandered. Swarm to pick up one. Nate gonna force Gahem into the corner, and Kate easy run and gun for the likes of the SMG. Cumberland 4 straight in map 2.
And finally, Cumberland live with more than 1 or 2 players alive as well. They get the orbital strike online. They didn't even have to use the showstopper. What before was a couple of silly rounds that could easily swing back and forth either direction. That was the first real dominance from Cumberland, and I loved that setup in Hookah that they had. The Dizzy to try and support the push out, but when there's nothing there, Morgazi, he can commit away from Hookah and instead clogs the take coming in through B long. Beautifully done. A very well run round. Those are the sorts of plays we didn't see on Breeze hardly at all from Cumberland, and it gives me hope for the rest of this series.
See if they can live up to the newfound hope. Deep A short hold here. Screen up. And Morg wants to use this to get a bit ahead himself. Is able to clear close angle. Nothing spotted just yet.
Yeah,
Patience going to be the key here defensively.
It's going to be a... Oh, good jump peek. Well done by Cade.
Swarm going to clear out Cade. Lear cleared by Morg. His teammate going to fall just in front of his eyes. Moshko going to slow some timing here as he gets back towards site. So another good work to unscale themselves defensively. And straight back into trouble. I'm nervous for Morg here, close lamp.
SJSU could still TP away too. But no, now that they've spotted where the operator is, it's likely that they're fully going to commit. They even bait out the orbital strike. Very nicely done by SJSU. The only question is, can they survive with all the Cumberland players so close?
Oh, Colin able to find the first out of bench. Was able to get far enough ahead to make that play. A second picked up on Morg, who's looking to make something happen with the...
That was optimistic.
Yeah, a little bit far range on that one. RWN going to find Gahem from range back of sight. Con still bench finally cleared out.
Winnable.
By Cluey. Winnable indeed for Cumberland. They got to work through this pit, and they got to do so on a quickened timeline. Stepping in is the Viper, straight into trouble. Yuri to pick that one up. It's 1 HP after the DK. One shot will do it if they can find it on the sky. 5 bullets in the Vandal. Yuri going to step in. Time running so short. You have to almost hold this one now. RWN will do what they might. Yuri going to be able to TP away from this one as well. Brown picked up for San Jose.
I mean, but that was dicey considering how well the early round went for SJSU. Not only did they avoid the operator in its entirety, but they shut down the showstopper from Swarm as he tries to push forward and follow up. He gets picked out of the air before the rocket goes off. Then they stall things out a little bit. SJSU, yeah, they got the ults out that they wanted, but the space became pretty claustrophobic on that site. We had 8 players on the A site before the spike was actually even planted. But hey, a win, even if it's narrow, still keeps you in this. And SJSU, their economy's hurting a little bit. We got some light armor as well as a stinger there, actually, for Kahem. But it's better than nothing. It's better than losing. And with an orbital strike and a showstopper of their own now, this B take seems very dangerous.
San Jose wasting no time to push this one forward. Second satchel, not quite on the money for Con, so grounded is the flight.
Needs to do his laps on a ascent. You know, you see those raises just run around ascent with the satchels. All right, good work. At least his mechanics are still holding up. Good job, Con.
He's made up for it, I'd argue. We're going to work further into elbow as well. John wanting the Vandal. Double swing on its way. Into the stim beacon, though. Con going to shoot first. Cluey a trade. This is a gunfight that's going to take forever at this rate. The way this one's getting swung. Cluey back into it. Still hasn't found it. Finally going to pick it up. The Viper has 2. And that's given some room here. They're going to push everything up. Now stuck in Octagon is the rest of the defensive post plant. K3K to pick up 1, going to back away. Still no start to this defuse. Going to start now by the little guy of Wingman. More to pick up 1. This time does have results off the shorty, but Gahem will quickly trade it. SJSU good for a second round.
This Gecko operator is very interesting in the post plant, though. You could see how close that was for SJSU, despite the dominant state they had on the site there. Even after winning a round, after winning 2 rounds in a row, SJSU are the ones taking the first time out here because they've been so closely cut. And the pressure that Morgazi has been able to exude with this operator strategy. I mean, it's nice to have the wingman for a defuse or a spike plant, right? But it's even nicer when you have an operator in your hand because you're going to be holding still anyways, trying to cover the plant or the defuse. Might as well do it with the strongest weapon in the game and put a 50 cal through anybody's chest who tries to step up and hurt your little buddy. SJSU have at least gotten back into this here, Cat. And they've broken the economy of Cumberland as well.
I, too, will put a 50 cal to your chest if you try to hurt my little buddy. I get it.
I think that's...
I relate, Gecko.
All Gecko mains nodding their head in agreement. Yes.
It's going to be a tough buy coming out for Cumberland. Almost certainly the Chico round, so I don't think we see... the essence truly of what this timeout can bring to the table when you're looking at what is limited utility on the other end of things. Ult economy pretty decent for both sides. Almost back to Seekers for RWN. Were used so early in terms of the round. Haven't seen them come back just yet. Swarm looked for the double satchel play. Caught by a flash and now caught by Khan. Out of the round quickly as SJSU looked to scale long.
It's an eco, right? You might as well go for one. And actually, is that a frenzy in K's hands? It was.
It is, indeed. Now it's a Vandal, though. Just picked up the first frag. Amar to find another.
Oh, my word.
Pick up a frag.
That's the detain.
Rush with a detainment. K out for one. Is traded by Yuri. Dizzy shut down early. Huge shots from the Viper. Even going to shoot out the dog. And it's a long time coming for that flank. It's a 1v1. RWN knows it. Going to back all the way out of this one. Suddenly, it's a winnable round.
He's trying to salvage this. The Seekers will confirm his position. Oh, is the Seeker timing going to work out for the swing? Not quite, but RWN knows that he hasn't gotten away, knows he hasn't picked up the spike yet. And actually just completely absconds. Heads back, heads out to defender spawn. Says, hey, I want a group. I don't have enough health for this fight. I'm not giving him the 1v1. He can pick up the spike. I don't care. We'll take the 2v1. Playing disciplined Valorant right now, Cumberland. They will hear that TP going through as well. But they're not even fazed by it. They're not convinced that it's actually going to end up at A yet. RWN's going to go get himself a rifle, and they're going to TP through as well. Oh.
I think they just didn't. I think they just genuinely don't hear the TP. But they'll walk back now.
Wow.
No troubles. All good. Still 2 players to work into this 2v1. Yuri gonna play the close contact. And you've got a lot of work to do with limited utility for Cumberland. It's gonna clear out where this player is. Yuri gonna swing for one. Has no idea that Chloe is with him. The group up pays off. It's a refrag with no troubles. A 5th round picked up for Cumberland.
RWN, the sacrificial lamb there, makes as much noise sprinting out onto the side. Hey, come get me! Come on! I know you want it! Yeah, he did. He did, in fact, want it. Yuri takes the bait, and Chloe cleans it up. Cumberland maintaining a healthy lead here. And SJSU, I mean, yeah, man, this economy has been so weird. This is what I love about Collegiate, man. It's not like, oh, let's go for our tactical, normal, like, gun, eco kind of ping pong round. It's like, nah, hey, okay, you buy whatever you feel like, man. We'll get it done. Now I really want to know, are SJSU going to try and reset their economy here? Are they going to try and force into this round? I mean, they just took a timeout, too. We do have a word. It is apparently a player crash, so we're going to take a tech pause here and get that player back into the lobby. But SJSU, it's been a weird, uncomfortable set of attacking rounds thus far, Kat.
It's the game's just felt chaotic from the very beginning.
The
first 3 rounds, incredibly awkward. And I feel like when that chaos comes through, Cumberland looking better. I will say, and this is off of really no, like, prior insight, so no hate, no offense or anything like that. Cumberland look a bit less practiced, less time in the server. So I'd say in that situation,
I would say they definitely look less rigid. right?
Okay.
SJSU very much seem like they are marching all to the same beat, right? Whereas Cumberland is a little bit more jazzy, right? It's a little bit more like Swarm push.
Yeah, and Jazz thrives in freeform conditions, so this chaos
Exactly.
has been perfect for this squad. And we got a timeout. We had a chance to try to slow the pacing down and get things back to a comfortable level. I don't really think it got there.
No, SJSU have been struggling to keep it there. And it's worth noting, too, one of the reasons that I think Cumberland have been able to keep it a little bit less rigid, which is something that they were losing out on a lot on Breeze, right? Like every time Breeze felt like the same round, like for the first 12 rounds of the map, right? Felt like SJSU were hardly contested for the first 30 seconds. They crept towards the site. They got ready to execute. They won a post plant. That was the majority of our rounds for the first half. This is not the same at all. Cumberland are throwing more wrenches into SJSU's gears. Early operators, crazy pushes, Swarm flying at them occasionally. Cumberland are doing more things so that rigidness of SJSU isn't able to just get every single thing that it wants.
Yeah, absolutely. Having to work rather hard for it and haven't quite made the adjustment to that just yet. Starting to pick up the first con. What's good? Already there, has his number with the Bucky, and it's pellets to the dome as SJSU able to pick up a refrag. They've gotten space ace short, but even now, where are they going to go with it?
SJSU, it almost feels like they're aware that a push is coming in from somewhere, but Cade can't quite find where RWN is. RWN not fully committing because the spike hasn't been planted yet. So he's just taken some space and is hoping to win the fight when someone re-clears into him. And SJSU, they don't really have the firepower to hard commit one direction or the other. So both teams just hoping the other one walks into them. Cade, do you check your left? Does he check it? Yes, he does! And he gets it done! That's a B site free for the taking now and a TP to reinforce.
SJSU finally able to find that patient play that they so love. Cluey not able to find the first, but Morg is going to have something from behind, looking for more out of Hookah as well. As Yuri going to go down. Wait, this Gecko still kicking. Mosh going to shut down a plant early. And that's low timing here. Is Cluey going to take down plant early? We'll have the last as well out of Octagon as Cumberland will find another round now at 4.
Unbelievable. SJSU, they felt like a deer in the headlights. What happened? They had the perfect TP. They had the perfect clear from Cade. They all rush onto the B site, but it's disconnected. It's not holding hands. It's a conga line, and the very end of that conga line gets picked up by Morgazi. And once the last person falls off, SJSU just sort of twirl in circles. They didn't commit to the plant. They weren't able to actually accomplish much of anything, and Cumberland, not, pardon the pun, but swarmed them.
I gotta shake my head.
Look, that one I mostly walked into accidentally.
Well, I mean, I think the self-report before it happens really negates all error. SJSU, early util out tells them all they need to know of B site, not the place for them. They'll work back towards A. They've had A short pretty much every round, so able to scale it no trouble. It's what they do past that point. That'll be interesting to see. Empress online early.
Yeah, this is just a please don't mess with us while we plant the spike kind of ult. Hey, don't fight me. You don't want this. But now Cumberland with 5 players up. The question is how quickly can they do this? Because there is both Showstopper and Orbital Strike for SJSU. They can stall this for a long time.
I need to do so. We're going to tap early. We'll recognize. What? Rocket will find nothing. A Swarm to pick up 2. Cluey with frags of their own. Lineups are out, but these players so far away, and Spike already half. Doesn't even touch before it's down. Oh my goodness, John Hamm at the last possible millisecond. Able to take one. RWN not refragged by Yuri. Has so much more work to do. Does pick up one. Still defusing. Has to find Cluey and just can't quite do so. A second picked up from the Viper as Cumberland now with 7.
I mean, John with a heroic effort there. But SJSU, why are you guys using the Orbital Strike and the Showstopper at the same time? Why is the Showstopper flying in an angle where Kahem is already shooting? Swarm gets 2 there and the ult out of Con. and dies, sure, but it's so fast. SJSU, when they have so many resources, you gotta play for a little bit more, right? You gotta try and pull more out of Cumberland. Stall them a little bit longer. Use one tool at a time as a massive threat and commit all your players to that one tool. And now, I mean, Kay's just hoping he can get something done here. Kahem helps him out, but it's Cumberland all day.
All day indeed. Yet again, some chaos into the likes of SJSU. It's too early picks to come off of it. They'll put 2 in the back line, very deep on the flank. Kay's Molly is going to find Kahem from what feels like miles away. It's not looking good.
It would take a Herculean effort here for SJSU to try and pull this off. How have these teams managed to so dominantly start off on each other's maps? SJSU picked Bine and they're getting slaughtered. Breeze was a 13-3 in favor of SJSU despite being Cumberland's map. And now, I mean, do Cumberland even feel like they need to use an ult here? I mean, there's a Viper's Pit. Maybe they orbital strike it. Yeah.
Well, going to have to now. Orbital strike does get popped. No one around. RWN going to find John Hamm and Yuri. A lot of work to be done here. Does pick up one. In
Great
pit
movement.
with that advantage. Here's all about RWN. Just hasn't seen the gun barrel just yet. Not enough to warrant taking a shot. Spike tap checked quickly by the Viper. Going to back away and throw the snake bite. Has some room here. Going to let RWN walk into them. And those shots give you all you need to know if you're Yuri. Going to let the pit drop. Let the player walk around triple. Can't quite find the frag. Oh, that timing though, yeah. Gets it to half, but can you get it all the way? RWN a second too late. So a clutch going to come through for SJSU.
Yeah, you see that final orb enclose around the spike while it is about to go off, and that means you are done. RWN, a good effort there, but I mean, how is that even a situation when Cumberland were losing? That was a 4v2. What is happening to advantageous positions for these two teams? All right, everybody take a breath. All right, gun round here, and Cumberland actually, you know, despite SJSU having a pretty significant disadvantage in rounds, they've been keeping most of these rounds pretty close. So just one win there is actually enough to put Cumberland very much on the back foot in terms of economy. Now they have to use the Viper's Pit in tandem with the Judge here to try and hold on to this round and keep this massive lead.
Slower round for SJSU yet again. This is the farthest we've seen them pull different positions in terms of a default. And the first time they're going to have to try to work outside of a short due to that pit.
They're going to waterfall all the way through showers here. I mean, that showstopper waiting for them up in heaven. That has to be the game changer if Cumberland want to hold this. Sure, the pressure from pit is going to be nice, but there's enough players and even containment from Yuri. And Swarm gets dominated by Cade. That's what you need out of the Reyna.
Molly going to make things awkward. That snake bite going to make things more awkward. I'm just going to hold plant, and that cost him his life, unfortunately. Cluey going to pick up one back. K as well. So Stingers working out of vision denial, starting to find themselves some picks. Another run and gun picked up for the Brim. K3K just barely able to dismiss out of trouble, but straight into it as well. When he works in the shower, RWN has that. Yuri going to pick up Cluey. That's enough to drop the pit. But you got to drop two players if you want the round. Just barely off the money in terms of the shot to deny the defusal, and RWN going to take him fully out the round. Cumberland yet again able to retake and win.
Really close for SJSU, but that last snake bite hitting the tippy corner of the box. Unfortunate there for Yuri. But honestly, that round was just great play by Cumberland. Cumberland have not been allowing SJSU get into comfortable positions in any sort of post plant, whether like it's a player advantage or not. So really well done by Cumberland there to mess with the timing, mess with the tempo of these post plants. SJSU, they want to set up, they want to go forward and support Khan, but until that spike actually gets planted, he was left all alone, and that domino fell shortly before the rest of them. Now we just get an explosion onto the site. SJSU throwing everything at the wall in the last round of this half.
Pretty executing a prettier free cam drone shot. Plant down now. Lots of room for this one. This is going to be chaos personified. A Swarm going to pick up the first on a John Hamm by the likes of a Satchel and a Showstopper. K behind, able to jaw down onto one. K to fall. Swarm and RWN able to pick up frags as well. Kahem with everything to do and nothing to be done will pick up 2 before they fall. It's 9-3 for Cumberland.
Really nice defense. Cumberland never letting SJSU establish control. SJSU establishing control is what won them breeze, but here, Cumberland never give SJSU a chance to breathe. Even in those couple of rounds where SJSU win, they only squeak by. I mean, it's honestly, the half, if you turned off the scoreboard, the half felt closer than 9-3, but at the end of the day, scoreboard's what really matters. And now SJSU find themselves in the same position Cumberland just were. Win the pistol, or we're heading the distance. We're heading all the way to Ascent. SJSU, they have yet to miss out on a CECC LAN at the end of the year, as far as I'm aware. But this could be it. Cumberland, one more pistol. And I mean, it's not it. We get another map, but could certainly spell the beginning of the end.
Very low Swarm early. Overgrowth gonna get him back to at least 100 HP. Shield though, that initial light armor gone. This team instantly gonna move. A Short was not feeling like the vibe, so walking all the way in a full map swing this to be.
This jiggle peek from Kahem, I don't think it's really gonna spot much. Oh, he pulls off of it right as Cluey's coming around too. Great stun.
We're gonna grab one. Yuri gonna trade 2 back from Tube. And just being alive here gives the team so much hope. Now dead, though. 2 frags back to their direction as K is trying to get back here to the rest of the team. Cluey going to start to pinch this player from Tube. A fall, though. Dismiss away for K3K. Now back into the shot, and it's K to pick it up first. Cumberland going to win the pistol, and it's another very close round.
But that was a pistol I felt tactically Cumberland just come out ahead on. K is waiting in sand almost the entire push. And just knowing that someone is going to come through the TP. You know, on pistol round, TP is more viable as a defender than any other round because you're not worried about, like, rifles spamming you through the door, right? So 2 players grouped up. K finds the perfect moment to stab into that. Keeps Cade 3K away from the site, away from the reinforcements that his other defenders over on B really needed. And then he even he chases K down and cleans him up. K doing a phenomenal job there. And I don't see a world in which SJSU really recover this one, especially considering it's their defense that they have to play in this disadvantage of. I mean, it's hard to force buy on defense. Cumberland really have their boots on the throat of Bind.
Just looking to lock it in now. Is Cumberland still with advantage, with control of this game, patient at it in terms of their default. A hard 2-1-2, slowly going to start to work their way up towards Shower. Nothing spotted, and that'll pull the rest of the team market now to look to make this execute happen.
Nice little pickup there, too, from Swarm. Completely dodging out all the utility. And, I mean, Khan gets 1 as Mogazi doesn't fully clear the site. But the TP is heard. Swarm has it contained. John's not going to be able to do squat from that smoke. He can't even get out of it in time. Oh, the nade goes off, and this is absolutely fully cooked. It is well done. And, you know, well done is more than just a temperature of meat joke there. I think, Cumberland, well done.
Swarm going to grab the ace out of the round. So certainly cooking up SJSU there. As now they'll look for what they can. Look for this buy back into this round. It's still not the buy they would have hoped for in round 3, but not going to be easy by any means.
SJSU aren't going to get the buy they're hoping for unless they end up winning 3 rounds in a row. This is not going to happen at this point. You got to be able to piecemeal together something, but not even shotguns. It's all like SMGs here. It makes this very difficult to win, even in close quarter engagements where, like, there's some argument, like, maybe you're favored for, like, a straight one-on-one. But Cumberland, they're sticking together. Even if a Stinger trades for 1, I doubt it's getting 3. It feels like we are rapidly on pace toward Ascent.
All this early space octagon. Gem tucked elbow. Gonna get smoked off here. Might look for one in front of it. Won't do so. So it's just the triangle of death from SJSU if they can set it up. Gem will pick up one. Yuri with a good snake bite, enough to fragile swarm and find the kill. And that's pushed Cumberland fully away from this one. Just the spike remaining is just waiting on a TP. Sorry, WN hasn't actually opted to leave just yet. Cluey wanted space shower, caught by Cade 3K. And now you're working back the other direction if you're CU.
I mean, good awareness there from Cade to realize, hey, the Viper very well could be roaming. Oh, do you even clear your left here? No, you never think about it. You never in a million years think about clearing your left there. You assume that Yuri has just completely evacuated back onto the site once that toxic screen went up, that he went back to play alongside somebody else. I mean, in what world could you possibly win this? Not this one. Okay, so 1 round is there for SJSU, but Cumberland still in a pretty comfortable spot. I think they can even buy here still. Yeah, so full gun versus gun round for potentially the fate of this series.
You say the buy they need is 3 round wins away. That's the first.
It might be 2. It might be 2. They did recover a couple of rifles there. If they can keep 2 this time and win this round, they might actually get like full rifles on the 5th of the half.
That door slowly materializing. Yuri's been just shooting the lights out in terms of this game. Can this team find their way back in? It's quick scaling from Cumberland. Showstopper already online. Double satchel's a beauty, but nothing found on the rocket. K3K gonna light up Swarm in the skies. And Cumberland down 1 early.
Yeah, I mean, Khan actually hiding inside the enemy smokes there and then finally gets all the way back out. Not much in terms of retake for this push here. I mean, no ults at least. Empress, Cade can be the tip of the spear, already walking in. I'm surprised that Empress hasn't been popped yet. A nice angle from Morgazi too.
Flood out towards the site here. As it's just a bloodbath in terms of the actual site. It'll leave us into a 2-on-1. Cumberland, they win this one. It's low hope for SJSU and a very low raise, trying to find a way back in. 3 frags picked up for Khan. That Molly shutting things down. Khan knows it too. A look of defeat on that spike. SK gonna pick it up. It's match point for Cumberland, roaring back so far in map 2.
K has really been an anchor for this team. Every time things get messy, every time things get chaotic like we've been talking about, K is the one digging his heels in, refusing to let anything go SJSU's way, using all of the information, using all of the trades that the rest of Cumberland have gotten him, and weaving his way through that chaos to a Cumberland victory. I mean, what a swing of fortune we've had on map number 2. A 13-3 is how SJSU won map 1, but now they are about to lose 13-4 unless they can find a way back into this. I mean, Thrash doesn't quite get the detain, so silver linings starting to shine through, but you need more than that. You need to get rid of these rain clouds.
SJSU gonna put a bit more forward pressure here defensively. And Cumberland gonna grab themselves spacing, and then we'll walk back possibly towards long. So not fully out of the A picture just yet. Gonna see what they can see. It's K3K out the front early. Still has the chance to grab orb, and Dismiss has done just that. Gonna get out that close angle. And this Thrash not gonna have anyone to really bite down and detain.
You can see how nervous SJSU have to be. Showstopper not really ideally positioned. It's all the way over at A right now. So you're going to have to use that for a retake. And it's super awkward to retake with the Showstopper on B. Here comes the force in. Cade has to hold the line.
Has done so good enough. Is going to pick up 2. Will allow Kahem to pick up 2 as well as SJSU. Signs of life yet. 3 staying alive as well. Means they've got the rebuy here. Things going their way for at least now. As Cumberland still holding steady on that match point. It's got to be 7 straight rounds before they really have anything to worry about.
Yeah, look, we'll talk about an SJSU comeback when it gets to 12-10, okay? Otherwise, I'm just biding my time. Cumberland, they can take an eco here, they can lose another, they can take another eco, and they'll still have like a 2-round lead against SJSU. They can stack ults too. Excuse me, I had to sneeze there. Excuse me.
Hey,
they can stack ults. I don't want to see them use anything. Yeah, just let SJSU overinvest. SJSU have to use ults in situations like those because they can't afford to potentially give thrifties or even guns away. They need their economy to stay intact because they still got 6 rounds to go even now.
Yeah, plenty of time. Get these rounds out the way quicker, that's better. Give SJSU some momentum back in this series as well. And even if we're not looking at the full comeback here when it's all said and done, looking at just the series momentum that it brings back to have the scoreline a little bit closer, especially with how dominant they were in map 1, that can certainly be somewhat of a talking point in these last couple of rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it really just 9-3s are so difficult. I know for a while we had the 9-3 curse joke going on. I feel like we've retired that one a bit in Valorant, right? Those halves are really hard to come back from, especially if you end up losing the pistol. Swarm already making good space on the site too. And that Showstopper and the Orbital Strike were both used in previous rounds, so not much you can do about it. At least Wingman is stopped from planting, but that's 2 mollies already pulled out of SJSU.
Having this control tool shower, though, they've got enough room to be able to pincer this retake back in. They've done just that. Gonna pop it even before the plant. Kong gonna pick up that last frag. It's trades back in the favor of SJSU. Kong to pick up 3, and SJSU now within 5 of an overtime.
I mean, really well done by SJSU there. I actually really like the tempo, the way they combine the Empress with the Seekers from Kahem, giving Cade all the opportunity to make optimal space. And even when that contest comes out in Lamps very early, Cade doesn't overgreed for it, doesn't just run headlong at the enemy, says, no, I have the Leers, I have essentially the flashes in this composition, while Kahem is using like Trailblazer and Seekers and such. So I have to be the one to take these fights and make the space on the site where we really need it. So well done by SJSU there. Another eco here for Cumberland. But you can see they are starting to get some ults of their own. Orbital Strike, Viper's Pit online. Those are deadly even in eco rounds. But especially in those future rounds of guns coming up.
SJSU still holding pretty close in terms of defensive pressure. Got him jump peek info and a guiding light to try to slow things down. Do with the dog too, so no one's going to take space on him just yet. Swarming for the first. That Dizzy could be a nightmare for him. Able to back away in time. Back into the angle, though. His teammate now gone. No crossfire. Does manage to back up even further. Gets 1 for his trouble, but maybe bites off more than he can chew. It'll be a 2 and 3.
Orbital Strike does buy some time. Spike doesn't quite get planted, but a beautiful molly stops Khan from going from the quick lurk through elbow, and that buys time for the spike plant. Now you're playing 2v3 into an Orbital Strike and a Viper's Pit. Ascent is on the horizon.
Luckily, that pit not quite encapsulating the spike, so there's some room to work with here as they're going to fully ignore this Viper player for now. Going to look for the rest. Unfortunately, this long player's wrapped all the way over into Hookah, which creates almost a nightmare for you defensively. John Hamm has to do so much extra work to clear it. Khan has to start thinking about this Viper's Pit. They do manage to get this Orbital Strike out, but they're going to have about 10 seconds to deal with 3 players by the time they need to have this defusal started. RWN out of Hookah for the first. John Hamm into trouble, does pick up 1, but instantly traded by the Viper out of Pit of Cluey. It's 13-7 as Cumberland bounced back from a 13-3 map 1.
Some resilience shown at the very end there from SJSU, but let's call it how we see it. That was a Cumberland map through and through.
Yeah.
A very, very dominant defense. Again, weaving their way through that chaos, right? Creating situations where SJSU don't have time to really think about, like, hey, how do we want to do this? Hey, let's send this guy there. Let's send that guy there. Let's make sure we're watching for this angle. They don't have time to collect themselves. Cumberland keep the tempo too high and force SJSU into some uncomfortable footing. You saw SJ, when they got to play defense, when they got to be a little bit more controlled with how they set things up, it looked a little bit better. But Cumberland forcing us to a map number 3. Can they actually pull this upset off? I said it's going to be hard, but they've just shown quite a bit of resiliency themselves, taking away SJSU's map pick. A map that SJSU have always been good on throughout like the entirety of the history of collegiate Valorant too. The Reyna proving to be a little bit dubious, maybe not ideal compositionally there. And Cade, you know, I mean, he absolutely fragged out on map 1. It makes sense to pick up the Reyna when you're like, guys, I just dominated them in mechanics and head-to-head fights. Why wouldn't I pick up the Reyna? Well, it turns out it doesn't give you quite what you need, does it, Kat?
Nah, not quite what they would have hoped for after that 13-3 map 1. It just felt like, as you mentioned, they get so much time. They get the ability to really set up these heavy contact executes, and Cumberland just do a good job in map 2 of playing much faster defensive, constantly being there, early aggression, taking a player out, taking 2 players out for a lot of the time when those shower contact came through. Just making sure there's so much chaos that there's never really a chance to work your set pieces if you're San Jose, which certainly makes a difference. We'll see if they can do the same thing on map number 3, but a chance for both teams to talk before we do so. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, our final decider map, it's on the way.
Welcome to the LCQ Finals. Welcome to the LCQ Finals.
Welcome back, everybody, to the CECC Last Chance Qualifier. We're going all the way down to the wire, map 3, to determine who's getting that final spot when it comes to Valorant qualification. I'm Catnator, that's Pausable. It's time to kick things off over at Ascent.
Oh yeah, we get to finish this off at the one map that every collegiate team has played 18 bajillion times, Ascent. I feel like this kind of brings us back to neutral. Right? Although in a weird way. Look, if you had told me this series would go to 3 maps at the beginning, I wouldn't have been that surprised, honestly. I think that Cumberland, while I wouldn't have favored them, are definitely a good team. I would have said, like, yeah, no, they could totally win Breeze in like a close manner and then like lose Bind and then we go to us. I mean, that's not how we got here, but we did get here at the end of it. Rather one-sided flips for one map or the other. Maybe Cumberland just weren't probably warmed up on Breeze or something, but whatever that was quickly went away. It was a burner of a turnaround from Cumberland on map number 2, flipping San Jose State's map against them, claiming Bind and getting us all the way. One more map determines who goes to Texas.
Yeah, one more map, the resurgence from Cumberland, quite impressive. Control early on Bind. They win the first 4 rounds. Everything feels like it's flipped on its head. There is a slight resurgence for San Jose, but after a 9-3 half, it's just not something that you see come to fruition very often, and certainly did not for them. Now, a clean slate, a map that you're going to know very well. Interested to see if we get anything newfangled here from either squad. But
I don't think we do. Normally, this is one of the maps where both of these teams sort of come back to equal, right? Ascent, we've kind of just had an agreement on Ascent for 2 years in collegiate Valorant. Like, look, you look to like Masters and some teams are trying crazy stuff, you know, on Ascent, but not really here in collegiate. I've seen like one Phoenix Brim comp here in my 5 years of casting collegiate, and almost everything else has been this composition. Absolutely the collegiate stock standard here. No surprises from either team. The first mirror comp of our night.
Yeah, I'm really looking at this K3K Swarm matchup. They both had pretty solid maps on both end of things. Map 1, Cade really came into their own 6 first bloods, 22-9. Swarm at 11-14. So when it came to map 1, it was a dominant Jet victory in the Ditto, picked up by the likes of K3K. Map 2, though, we see some resurgence there for Swarm, but of course that's on a different duelist as well. So I'm really looking at that matchup to lead the way into what this series entails.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that we saw the unorthodox comp from SJSU on Bind, one of the reasons they run it is because Cade doesn't really play the Raze as well as Khan does, but SJSU know Cade. They know how good this guy is mechanically. They want him on a duelist. They want him on something that is in the front lines, that is absolutely taking the fight to the enemy at every single point. So now that we get him back on something a little bit more traditional, now we get back to a comp that SJSU have tons of practice with, and everybody top to bottom is on a comfortable agent. I think SJSU, this is going to... I expect Ascent to look more like the second half of Bind than the first.
I think that's a good expectation. SJSU going to walk everybody up Gelato. Just going to leave Yuri behind. That's already exec on its way past the KJ util. Cade's on site. Plan will come momentarily. The rest of the team defensively in Garden. Cumberland going to try to work this retake rather quickly, but stuck right now behind the dark cover.
And Yuri, is he actually going to go for this flank here? He's going to have to go very quick up catwalk to make this work. He's being watched for as well. He wins that fight, though, and now Cumberland have to sprint.
That pop flash giving away the fact this team's going to start moving. Didn't quite get the blind either as K3K manages to get the full frenzy reload before more refrag can get down. So San Jose able to pick up the first round. It's 1-0.
And that's only the second pistol that SJSU have actually won this series as well. The other 3 have all gone Cumberland's way. So good to see SJSU getting off to a start after what was a tough bind from them. Outlaw already too for Cade. You can see he is eager to maybe get some of those sniper fights that he didn't quite get to play on Breeze as much. But a great play from Yuri there. Nice little lurk, picking up RWN as well. And it's tough to have RWN the one being the one who looks out for that mid flank too, right? Like you ideally, I mean, it's pistol round, so who knows if he actually had the proper utility to assist his team. Maybe he had already used everything in his book. But you would think that maybe he has like the recon dart to throw in there, right? Like second round recon. But I digress. SJSU. Back to kind of what we saw on Breeze from them, too. I mean, SJSU on their attacking sides the entire series have liked to play a little bit slower, like to play those contact plays. Oh, timing for Swarm. Unlucky.
Who's going to fall? K3 Kid there with the Outlaw ready to go. Fortunately for him, going to have the better weapon and armor in that situation, so able to stay alive as well. Going to take that first pick. And that's given lots of room for SJSU to manage this post plan. John going to find the first. Morg's in trouble, just doesn't know it yet. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. But no one knows he's in the dark cover just yet. All about where he looks to step away. Going to opt to go Generator. Gahem will spot him now. Low HP and now dead. SJSU going to keep 4 guns alive for a bonus.
And thus far, a return to normalcy for SJSU too. We got through the first 2 rounds of this map without things becoming absolutely wild and chaotic. I mean, Morgazi tries to do a little something there, but nothing too much. And that's one of the things about Ascent as well. It's hard to throw creative solutions at this map when you're running this stock standard composition. So I'm keeping an eye out for Cumberland to give me some of those proactive plays that gave them such striding leads early on to bind. I think now that they're getting a little bit better weaponry in their hand, I'd like to see them contest. And this is bold from Swarm. Ooh, just barely gets out of that one alive.
10 HP, that raw shot coming out of Gahem could have been enough, but he just wasn't able to connect. They're going to clear Alarm Bot mid. We got to be cautious in regards to actually taking that space if they want to. And RWN through the wall will pick up Yuri. That's not what you want to see for SJSU. Those 2 early frags. A third now, a Swarm will pick one up on the mid cross. Gahem a trade, but feels like too little too late for trying to win this round.
Yeah, John Hamm just creeping forward here. And it's not really worth it for him to get the orb either, especially because he knows there's an Odin hanging around somewhere. Oh, he heard RWN too. He knows that there's something going on, but they're not going to necessarily... Oh, they did expect Cluey. Wow. Nicely done. And suddenly this round is barely winnable.
Insane confidence to take that one-on-one. RWN yet again getting a wallbang frag. That's John Hamm.
Oh, no.
Dart, yeah, you can kind of see the writing on the wall with that one. The bullet's soon to follow. RWN going to pick up a third all through the walls. Paper thin as you must expect. It's 1-2.
If I had a dime for every single collegiate Sova I have seen just annihilate people with the Odin through these paper thin walls, I could probably buy one of the new bundles. One of like the team bundles, you know?
One?
Yeah, one. I mean, you know, it's a dime.
Right here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I could see you getting the squeaky
first real gun round here between the 2 teams. What are SJSU fishing for here? I mean, they're hoping somebody plays up forward into them. That's a nice flash. They got the spam out of Hot Dog. But, ooh, that fragment dealing quite a bit of damage. Can he get away? Yes, and K's even good for 1.
Yeah, great counter utility. That paranoia in first. Pop flash for K. Fully blinding the players, allowing for Morg to get out of trouble. And even get a frag in the process. So Cumberland going to be on the board first in terms of picks. And SJSU left reeling. Let's try to work up mid here. They played Alarm Bot early. Probably will clear Alarm Bot again and then walk this one back into Fountain.
I'm surprised that SJSU didn't try to go for that Alarm Bot a little bit earlier in the round, right? That was information that they got on the round previously. And the sooner you pop the Alarm Bot, the more difficulties you cause for the defense. Here you can see it's not really causing too many problems for Cumberland. They're in a position where they can still pivot to defend A.
Always feels like he's stuck on site. Fortunately, the rest of the team going to be here this time, but he'll still falter. Cam going to pick up 2. Yuri another. And somehow, San Jose able to wrestle themselves into a 2-2 situation yet again towards the end of this round.
Oh, good shot from Cade. I mean, the spike's so far away, but he recovers it. Oh, is he able to be spammed there? It was close. The Odin nearly getting the better of him, but Cade sneaks into hell. And now it's looking good for SJSU to keep their lead.
Love the patience here from this post plant. Put one on Spike. Under Heaven, not much they need to do here. Dart shot. So one player going to be known about for RWN. Has the idea on under scaffold as well, but very awkward position. Going to go towards the back of Dice. Stuck in trouble, and Yuri going to pick it up. No trouble. 3-1 for SJSU. Solid post plant.
Good crosses there at the very end. Hairy for SJSU to get into that position. SJSU don't, like, mathematically, they take some time in the early round, but normally they like to plant the spike before they've elapsed a full minute. That was getting a little bit down to the wire. Kahem now with the Hunter's Fury available too, and Cumberland not really able to put much on the board here. Morg with just the one hero Phantom. Try and spam through his own smokes there. I mean, is he going to sneak out into mid? He's going to TP into his own smoke in the middle of mid, and just nobody's there. Nobody, absolutely nobody's there. And SJSU, oh, hey, they're all in mid. Let's just run it to A.
But you got to imagine if they were there.
Oh, if they were
what
there?
the world
Oh,
could have
man.
looked like.
That's actually a very real, like, point going into future rounds. But the problem is, in future rounds, Cumberland aren't going to have, like, ecos. And thus far, other than on Bind, they've seemed a little timid to try and go for stuff like that on non-eco rounds.
Yeah, and I feel like it's really what pushed the envelope for them on Bind as well, was playing these more aggressive set-piece plays. Kahem gonna pick up one.
Ooh.
Somehow Khan survives the likes of the daggers there to find another. Morg able to find one. But that's all they wrote for the Omen as well. Cade 3K gonna pick up RWN, and Cluey, there's a gun right by his feet. Hasn't opted for it. Wants the Sheriff, wants to shout at the one taps, does manage to find one, but traded by his doppelganger of Yuri to make a 4-1 SJSU lead.
I mean, a valiant effort from Cumberland. I still like that. We're still seeing that sort of pace from them in the post plant, right? Where they don't really want to give SJSU time to get comfortable in those post plants. Unfortunately, they just don't have the weapons to actually make it happen in that round. Now, as you can see, they're straying away from anything too bold, anything that takes them too far from the sights. They're not trying to bite off that much, even if they would be able to chew it.
Right here.
A light armor op here for Swarm as well. How deep is Swarm going to push this? He's right up against the barrier. Oh, with the recon dart, I think, spots him there. So now he has to give up a little bit more space. SJSU, this Odin is going to present a problem for them. I don't know if I love the idea of pushing into it.
Get out of my way.
He's able to dart it off, at least for now. RWN misses the jump, so actually not going to be able to get back up into the angle. There's no choice but to go all the way back. The recon of his own. Cade over the top, seen early. Cluey going to take him down a second as well. Picked up from Stair, and RWN now able to bolt and find themselves a wall bang as Yuri going to get spacing into lane. John Ham going to take Cluey. Site opened.
Look what the spike is, though. He's going to have to use his ult to grab the spike, even when it's only a meter from sight, because it's just too dangerous to push into Stairwell there.
Recalling my bot.
2v2 is doable. Not much utility, though, for SJSU to hold on to this, and still Paranoia and presumably flashes available for Cumberland.
Not ready yet.
Holding that util now going to start to work it. Knife to clear
know
the
they're
front.
both
You know
back.
these players got to be in the back here. They'll start to work their way in. TP to top. K has an angle.
What?
Almost one ways himself. Is John Ham going to pick that up? Morgan in trouble. Does see the feet. Picks up one. Yuri not moving a muscle. Going to make more come to him. Now to play time. We'll spot out for one. Backstepping this to perfection. This
No
Omen
time.
caught in a dance, and it's not going in his favor. Yuri still ring around the rosy. Now will swing out to find it. As San Jose up 4.
Yuri's the Iceman in that 1v1, dude. I mean, K leaps down, tries to get a timing off the... He hears the TP that John Hamm goes for, right? He hears the Shrouded Steps, so he's trying to find him in that corner while he's resetting his crosshair and looking the right direction, but doesn't quite get down there in time, and it becomes an even fight. Then even after the trade, after that one way is truly exploited by Morg, I mean, Yuri just cold with it. Never swings out. If the spike isn't tapped, there is almost never a reason for you to swing from safety, and there's no world in which Morg can actually get over and tap the spike there comfortably because of the time that had allotted and ran out already. So now we're 1-5. SJSU, are we gonna get another 3-9 start? Are we gonna get another 3-9 start? Tell me this timeout is what we need for Cumberland. I want to see competitive halves.
This is, I think, the same round count where we got their Breeze timeout, and it did warrant one round. Arguably, though, that came off of rifles. This time I'm going to be looking at a much weaker buy out of the timeout. So possibly give it an extra round to see the true impact of it. But it did give them some signs of life, though, on Breeze. Immediately afterwards, it was 4 more round losses.
And the real question is what sort of timeout do we get? I've spoken actually to a lot of collegiate coaches that don't actually feel comfortable getting into the tactics for their team, that they trust their team so much on any given day. A lot of collegiate coaches will use timeouts just to reset the mental, just to reset the calm. Say, guys, we need to calm down. We need to talk to each other. We need to figure out what's going on and work together a little bit more. But I don't know if coordination, I mean, on map 1, coordination was definitely the problem for Cumberland, but here it feels like a tactical one. So have to wonder what their coach was able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. Obviously, this is just that eco that you were talking about here. And even here, SJSU being incredibly respectful. You have to be. I mean, after you've lost or nearly lost some thrifties this series to Cumberland.
Drone will have info on just one. Gehem going to shut it down very early. Force out a shock. Cascade 3K going to have Swarm's number. That leaves just RWN to try to defend this site. Picks up one for his livelihood, and Gehem instantly going to trade that one back to the direction as San Jose will walk their way to site. Plan's going to go down. Now just looking to hold on to it without losing any rifles. Hey, bro, you got to hold for a little longer. Oh, I like that a lot,
he's
actually.
giving it, yeah,
Gonna give the orb away.
Gotta get that ult, you know? Although they do take enough time to where John Hamm just dies. So it is technically a 3v3. Still better weapons, but
You should run.
the lockdown? Wow. SJSU feel like they need to commit the lockdown here. I was actually going to wonder if Cluey commits his here. Bam, you get a Guardian! Wait, things actually are looking kind of dire for SJSU if they lose a gunfight.
Still have walls to pop if they really feel they need them, but they're going to start winning the gunfights now. Yuri with one, Gehem the other 2. Back at Boathouse, more than secure. It's 6-1.
Look, considering that was pretty much an eco from Cumberland, I mean, it was an eco where they had a Guardian, so it wasn't like a true eco, right? Like a pistol one. But, like, you know, getting one ult out of SJSU is certainly nothing to scoff at. Now the question is what will Cumberland be able to do with their own? And actually, is Cluey ever even going to be in a position to actually use it? I mean, the Hunter's Fury and the Null Command, both available for SJSU. Sure, Cumberland, they're back to guns. They even managed to piece together an Odin for RWN, but what can they accomplish with it when SJSU have such good tools to force whatever site they want?
CSU going to play a more mid-heavy push than we've seen for a lot of this game. Been really relying on A and B mains. Look towards Garden into this round. No alarm bot to worry about on either avenue of travel. A cheeky little drone under the smoke. Spotted nothing. Got some room to play with here if you're San Jose. They don't know, though, how close that Killjoy is lurking. Oh! And we'll find out.
Good timing from Cluey. And the smoke, not ideal. Comes in a little bit late there. Okay. Oh, okay. I mean, if Gehem is just going to do that, it's still going to be a winnable round.
A little bailout from Gehem early. No one getting to this KO stuck under heaven. Does give some comms that the plant's going to come through, but they'll find that out now. Thanks to the marker. Lockdown on its way, going to push players back. Not really in a situation you can line up for it, and Yuri going to try to stop it in his tracks. Has done just that. Has picked up Cluey in the process. And RWN into a 1v3.
Man, Cluey even had the idea, the inkling that someone might be approaching from behind. or even just the respect based off lack of information, but isn't able to shut that down. If Kluey wins that gunfight versus Yuri, that round completely flips on its head. SJSU would have to go so far away from the spike, and it would just be chaos, which is exactly what Cumberland want as the final attempts to defuse come in. But instead, SJSU quickly running away with this map. Echoes of Breeze instead of Bind. And Cumberland never really managing to put together a comfortable economy.
When San Jose get to play their game, they just play it so nicely.
Yeah.
Cumberland just not able to find an answer. You know, you question if that timeout was tactics, was it mental? Well, whatever it was not impactful, at least not to be seen at this time. Con and John going to pick up the first couple looks. As Cumberland do start to get a bit dicey, they try to make something happen on early aggression, but they're snuffed out almost instantly.
Yeah, SJSU. Very aware that these low economic rounds are the ones wherein Cumberland attempts these bold plays. I mean, Bind seems more like an outlier than anything else at this point.
They pick up 2 very early picks, and still they're so patient in B lobby, just waiting for where's the next push coming from, who's going to flank next. And finally, they'll start to work as a full unit over towards this A side, taking the space that they'd already garnered. It's going to be just K close on this one.
I mean, this 0 point, I mean, that'd be huge if you had rifles. if you had guns, getting 3 on the 0 point there, getting the fragment to stall them, that'd be massive. Maybe you can get something with Kluey, but it is the alarm bot back there, right? So Kluey's flank surely going to get picked up. Swarm good for 1, but no more than that. And yeah, Kluey does get spotted, so Yuri's going to come over here and clean him up yet again. Nice little flash thrown in there, too. And K, I mean, he recovers a Guardian. It's not completely unwinnable, but I certainly wouldn't want to be in this scenario.
I mean, neither. First 1v1 there. It's just a jiggle peek. Not enough to really get a shot onto. He's got some util to spare. Another dagger, and Kahem, as he throws the util, going to walk into the off angle. None the wiser is K, and caught out indeed by it. It's 8-1.
Yeah, we might not even get our 9-3 starts here. Cumberland, they really just have this. I mean, it's not their last chance, but it's their last chance to put up a decent first half here on Ascent. It's their last chance to get themselves in a position where the pistol doesn't decide whether or not they go to Texas. One last spot at the CECC LAN in just over a month's time is on the line here. Cumberland, it's not now or never technically, but it is pretty close. Oh my.
Hunter's Fury on its way. Kahem gonna utilize the util to pick up 1. Opposing Hunter's Fury, though, able to bite down on 3. RWN wrestling the round back all the way over on the B side.
What a counter Fury. Kahem in a 1v3 now, and a nice double swing from Swarm and Kluey. Hey, it was now or never, and Cumberland, they're trying to choose now best they can. Not out of the woods yet. You can see SJSU wasting no time. 1 round loss, and they are immediately trying to dissect what went wrong there. Honestly, I think SJSU, we've seen a couple of rounds over this series where they've been a little bit too eager, right? They're a little bit too quick to the sites, and every single time they try to just rush in and force onto a site, it bites them a little bit, right? They haven't completely taken the time to assess the assets of the enemy team. Really trying to rush through there when you had already been hit by a 4-player 0 point, and the fragment was coming out, and the Hunter's Fury is available. Like, they're just trying to chase down 1 pick, and it's a little bit too much. SJSU, those rounds have been few and far between, and I imagine this is sort of what this timeout is about. It's like, hey guys, chill. We've been doing so good playing slow rounds, reading them for information. Let's just go back to what has been working.
Yeah, quick reset. First JSU will come out the timeout, and they'll look to push things over towards A main. going to be contact here. We've seen a couple different bouts in this direction, most of them going the way of San Jose. And try to keep it that way. More going to go on the top ropes, top of the box here. See what that brings to him. Great info off the dagger. You've seen 4. That's going to stop any early aggression if it was to come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, K has really just been a thorn in SJSU's side with those 0 points. Even the last, I would say 4 rounds, even though, you know, a couple of those were SJSU wins. This time around, SJSU going to be much more respectful of that information, of that util stop. And instead, they're going to inch forward here. Yuri versus Swarm. This is important.
Oh, timing.
Oh, my.
Couldn't be more awkward for Swarm there.
Dude, it's awkward, but at least he lives. He was jumping up on the box. I think if Yuri is a little bit more confident in that fight, that quickly turns into a B snowball, but instead they're trying to ping pong back and again get caught by the 0 point.
Caught by dagger. Nade gonna slow them down as well. IWN close, just spamming bullets in. Is K3K going to pick up 1? That was Morg on top of box. K will take K3K early and so much more than that. Pop flashes himself into 3 frags. A 4th picked up out of A main. And he'll throw the command in as well to guarantee Yuri's got nowhere to go on this site. Gonna work it all the way towards B, and with time to do so and get a plant down.
It'll be a 1v2 here. The null command already used as well.
Util.
Yuri does have, yeah, so much util, right? The turret for the early contact. Only 1 swarm grenade immediately used, though. Is hoping to take early contact, get 1 pick, and then play for the rest of the utility. Cumberland, the name of the game is simple. Stick together. Use K's lower health just like they did on Bind when it was RWM. They got rid of the Nano Swarm too.
Oh! Second swarm down. Broken early. Have to find the wallbang if you're Yuri. No choice but to reload here. Has done just that, but traded by Swarm. It's half. It'll be close, but it will come through for Cumberland. They'll pick it up in the 2v1 retake.
Man, the tiniest segment of K's health bar is the difference maker. And honestly, K is the difference maker in that round. Immediately stops SJSU with the start. Then reads that they're pivoting back across the map, uses the fragment and the 0 point to once again keep SJSU from getting any sort of momentum. RWN comes over with the Odin and just annihilates that push with the help of him and K. So well done. K was, in so many rounds, the anchor for Cumberland on Bind. Can he do it again? Can he really springboard Cumberland back into this match?
Come on, early contact. Good for the first shot. Khan will fall early. Still teetering and tottering on this space. Get him caught by Recon. I know the rest of the gang is out thanks to the rest of that scan. As K3K gonna try to work this room here. As K yet again with early util. A dark cover on its way. Now the dagger for lots of information. A pop flash gonna make things awkward as this team stuck on the outskirts of Garden. They do manage to make a cross. Door will go down. K can't find the frag as it does. They've got room to sight. A lockdown's going to come through for them as well, but it's more Gauzy who's going to pick up the first 2. Going to play out of heaven now into additional frags, but Kahem trading one back instantly back to the direction, though, thanks to the Omen. John Hamm can find 1 before they falter. And Cumberland somehow have wrestled this to a 4-8 half.
Honestly, even though K misses that 1 pick, again, he's the difference maker. Because not only does he see where Yuri is going to, but Yuri is the one who's going to play the lockdown. Yuri is the pivotal, the fulcrum of that round, right? If Yuri lives, gets a successful lockdown, and is comfortably able to place that in a point where it can't get spammed, then SJSU look much better. But Yuri's so low, he nearly dies. He has to panic ult, and he does so in a space where RWN and that Odin, again, absolutely annihilate him, turn him into Swiss cheese through the paper-thin walls of Ascent. And that really felt like the name of the game in the rounds that Cumberland were able to win. Were RWN and K able to accomplish something? They managed to at least avoid a 3-9. We get a slightly slightly more competitive first half, and that gives Cumberland better chances as they try to go off onto their own attack and get this pistol. I am shocked Swarm is alive. Okay, he's not alive.
Much longer. Yeah, isn't for much longer. Yuri will pick that one up. Khan will have another. That's more going to fall. Rest of SJSU defensively, just holding the space that they have. Don't need to do too much, and they'll recognize letting Cumberland kind of walk into trouble. As Chloe now stuck in a 1v3. Kay will pick it up from Market. No trouble. It's SJSU, both pistols here on map 3.
Yeah. And that's huge for SJSU. I mean, it's not quite the nail in the coffin it was when we were on our first 2 maps, you know, going into those second halves. There's an outside opportunity for Cumberland to bring this back. It's not quite as hopeless, but it is certainly going to be tough. A couple of sheriffs, too. Man, I really go back and forth when I see sheriffs on second rounds for these. Because, like, on one hand, I love the confidence. I love the moxie, right? It's like, yeah, I'll buy a sheriff. I'll shoot my own economy in the foot. Watch, I'll make it worth it. The problem is that it doesn't often happen. It can happen. It doesn't feel like the percentage play. So Cumberland, we'll see if they're able to do anything with the, I believe, 1 marshal and 2 sheriffs they buy into. Yeah. Thank you, Observer, for letting me double check that. Appreciate it, Scoots. Hot dog's already down. Not a great start for Cumberland.
Yep. Rolled on the grill.
How do you like your hot dogs?
The contact? If I told you, I don't think you'd rock with me.
I mean, mine is borderline sacrilege because I actually just like plain hot dogs.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I like a plain hot dog too. I just, you know, I really like it like at 2 a.m. cold.
Oh.
Just grab it straight out the pack.
Actually, I kind of mess with a cold hot. I mean, I haven't since, you know, I've been an adult. But when I was younger,
what does that mean?
When I was younger, well, it means I don't really buy hot dogs for myself.
Okay, good. That means you're doing well.
well, we'll see. I'm at least doing about as well as Cumberland are currently in this round. Oh, and you know, as I say that, Chloe does get one.
Could be decent.
But
chance here for RWN close, and that chance has gone awry. That hot dog went in the microwave and unfortunately exploded. Cade 3K to pick up a third. It's 10-4.
All right. This is the pivotal round. This is the round that long term will determine what Cumberland's chances are for going to Texas, for getting themselves a spot at the CECC 2024 finals. Can they put an end to SJSU's tenure at that event? Will they have a chance for a comeback? Or will they lose it right here, right now? Not even full rifles. See, this is the problem with buying those sheriffs and marshals. You got a guardian on one. We got light armor on a couple others. I mean, at least it's a sense so the guardian gets that extra, like, wall bang threat to it. I'd still rather have a vandal in my hands.
We'll see if they can at least put a win in their hands when it's all said and done, when the dust settles in the next minute of playtime.
Getting pretty feisty here. Yeah, I mean, contesting in mid, and Cade with the pick there, too. And now it's just you. They don't have to fight for mid, because Cumberland would have to clear every single corner without their jet. And there's no way for Cumberland to break onto sites without their jet either. That is a very critical pick there.
And Cumberland's still not quite sure how they're going to recover from it either. A smoke towards mid and a slow scale in that direction. They've got plenty of time, still 40 seconds. So about 20 away from desperation. So they're gonna work through their own dark cover. It's Cade 3K still deep in the back angle. Unfortunately enough, he just fell off. He does get a jump spot. He has info, but he cannot get a frag from this position. Gonna have to instead work the spawn angle. That's Gahem will work to the back of Boathouse. SJSU are buckled down on this site. Now it's 20 seconds. You have to start to work and execute if you're Cumberland, and it's just going to be so awkward. There's no time. You got to clear out so many players.
I mean, Gahem is going to be a nightmare here, hiding in the smoke. Oh, what a clear from Chloe. The pace, SJSU trying to keep it up, but the spike's already been planted. Still, they've grouped up and they found RWN. Chloe, the last one standing. Good for 1, 2. He heard the dash. Katie knows where he is. And he
is able.
it.
is able to swing back out of Boathouse to pick it up. A 4K for Kluey. 3 coming off the 1v3. Enough to convert and keep Cumberland alive in such an essential round.
This is the Kluey I've been waiting to see all day. One of the statistical best performers in all of collegiate Valorant. He was completely absent on Breeze. And then on Bind, he didn't have to do the heavy lifting, but here and now with that clutch, he keeps Cumberland at least in the game, but even that was the anti-bonus. They only carry 1 rifle away. And now SJSU have a full economy. Oh. Kind of expected some counter spam off of that owl drone, actually, but instead, Cade is just, well, I was going to say locking it down, but the lockdown's actually on the other side. Not that it matters when you've already lost 2.
Okay, you know, don't step away from it. Let them play with ankle weights, perhaps.
Is Cade trying to go for the biggest brain? I'm baiting someone to try and push me off the detain play? I can't fathom what else that might have been. Or Cade is just being stinky and being like, haha, guys, you detained me, but you can't push me.
Perhaps a look towards backside. No one close enough for the angle. K3K will look for what they can out of the knives. More of a distraction than anything else. Yuri will pick it up, no trouble. Kane will find the last. It's 11-5. SJSU nailing, knocking, slowly creeping towards the door.
Oh, and that's such a huge round, too, for both teams' mentals, right? Like, Kluey's just gotten this crazy clutch, is brought the economy back to salvageable for Cumberland, and then that round, you just get slaughtered. Cade teases you by getting detained, because he knows it won't matter, and he even tries to fly at the site. Doesn't matter that Kluey picks him out of the air. The support for SJSU is more than enough, and now he's going to push out into mid. You have an Odin just crouched in mid right now. And actually, that heavy mid investment, oh, I was going to say is going to bite SJSU a bit here. But again, they get 2 on the way in.
It's going to be another awkward round to try to play yourself out of if you're Cumberland. No ults to do it on this one either. Swarm trying to shoot the lights out on top. Couldn't quite do so on scaffolding as Yuri and John Hamm going to rifle 2 back. Kluey with everything to do. Found a 1v5 win, but this one just insurmountable as Kahem will find the defuse. It's 12-5. It's match point for San Jose State.
It is Texas point for SJSU Blue. On the precipice of, I believe, 3 consecutive years. One of which, I think they actually won 2022, if I remember correctly.
You do.
Yeah, there we go. I just got everybody in my ear confirming that. Oh my. On their way back. Doesn't matter if it's a new roster. They can make their way to what feels like home. And it is a desperate buy here from Cumberland. They smoke off Cade. They know that SJSU have been playing in mid quite a bit. And they're going to try and just collapse onto Kahem, but he gets away.
A series that has accrued over 2 different days of action if you think about it. Khan and RWN able to trade blows. Cade and Kahem going to pick up 2 more. Another out mid for the operator of the Jet. It's now a 1v4 to try to keep hopes of Texas alive. Morgazi, the old school Fortnite legend, does he have what it takes to somehow wrestle this round back for his squad?
Not in the slightest. No way SJSU are letting that slide. A 4v1, they will convert into a 13-5. Quite lopsided maps we had here today. But SJSU certainly coming out on top, dominant on both Breeze and Ascent. That'll get them the 2-1 win over Cumberland, who fought very valiantly, I have to say. This is a squad, I think, that still has a lot of room to rise and grow. They've been doing nothing but getting better and better throughout this entire year, and I'm excited to see where that lands them in the future. But for now, SJSU, they were not to be denied their ticket to Texas.
Now, when these guys get to cooking, when they get to play their game, they certainly do, and do so to absolute perfection. A squad that is the second best team in the West, without a doubt, have been to every West Region Grand Finals, have been knocking on the door. It's been one team, the thorn in their sides, but when they're not here, it's lights out, baby. San Jose take over.
And I mean, hey, there's even arguments to be made. SJSU have been more consistent than SFU. It's just SFU keep winning all of the important games because, they've won all the finals. So what does it matter? You lose a couple of one-off series to, teams no one's really familiar with. It doesn't really matter at the end of the season if you're still winning the finals. So, and now they get to go and try to take down SFU at Texas. Simon Fraser, they were the ones who made SJSU even have to play in this LCQ. So many good teams are going to Texas, dude. SFU, Blinn, Northwood. I think 2 different Fisher rosters and St. Clair. That's going to be such a good event. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal event. San Jose, I'm sure they can't wait to be there either. And I'd love to hear their thoughts in terms of getting to that event. We'll look to bring on someone from the San Jose roster here momentarily when we get back from break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to look in the mines.
Welcome to the LCQ Finals. Welcome to the LCQ Finals.
Welcome back, everybody, for the last time for our CECC LCQ Valorant edition. Next week, we got a bunch of Overwatch Smash Bros. You won't want to miss it. But right now, before we finish off and let you guys go have your fine, fun weekend, we got a little special treat for you. An interview from the big dog at SJSU himself. Kahem, how are you doing after that win? And congrats on making it to Texas again.
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for that intro, Paul. Feels great being back.
I like to hear that. It's your third year in a row back into Texas. Winning it in 2022, obviously a different roster at that time. Does that set any goals in mind for the squad, or is it kind of a show up, do what you can sort of thing? Or are you going for the goal, looking to win the whole thing in Texas?
We usually just show up and try to do it the best we can. Obviously, the goal is to win. Our old roster won it back in the very first one, I'm pretty sure. And me and Connor were actually there as subs, so we saw them lift the trophy. So we want to, try to replicate that success that our predecessors had, and maybe get a trophy here and there.
I like that. To see the teammates lift the trophy, I want you to be yourself. I love to hear that. I hope the best of luck for that. This series in particular, map 1 domination, 13-3. Nobody could stop you, even if they wanted to. Map 2, though, a big flip back into Cumberland momentum. Can you talk to me about what you feel like is the difference in those two maps and why the scoreline looks so different?
I think we were just in our comfort on Breeze. Like, we got the first pistol. I don't remember if we got the bonus, but we just kept stringing rounds, and we're in our own comfort. Like, when we play our own game, we feel really comfortable just dominating the enemy team. But on Bind, we got off to a rocky start. I think it was 2-5 at one point, and then we just kept losing rounds. And it felt like we were losing to ourselves. We started panicking a little bit in post, and we were kind of doing uncharacteristic mistakes. And we let the first half get away from us. And after that, the second half, when we lost pistol, it was kind of over from there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been great watching you guys play this entire year, right? I remember when you used to sub for that very first roster, when you, Con, and John would all kind of trade spots, subbing depending on what you guys needed. You guys have been there so long at this school now. You've integrated Cade and Yuri pretty seamlessly this year. Talk to me a little bit about the team dynamic when you guys get into the actual server. You obviously have a lot of comfortability with each other at this point.
Yeah, we're all 5 of us pretty nonchalant guys. We kind of just show up, play the game, and we're all pretty chill. We vibe really well outside the server, especially after the last 2 lines that we've been to in Red Bull and Atlanta. We've gotten to know each other really well. It was really cool getting someone as experienced as Kate to join our roster and kind of, show us the information that he had from all his previous, teams. And then with Vig, he's a freshman. He actually never played competitive Valorant at all. And we picked him up off the ladder, and he's just kept on improving ever since. And recently we also picked up a new coach. So it's been really nice so far, and we're trying to build off this momentum into the future tournaments we have.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's talk about the future tournament. Obviously, you start out CVAL and some other stuff, but let's keep it focused right here, right now. CECC Finals in Texas in just over a month. So many good teams are going to be there. Is there anyone you have your eye on that you really would like to play while on LAN?
I think we're always looking forward to play Northwood, especially after we play them in Atlanta when they have a sub. We kind of want to see how we can do against them when they have their full roster. We also want a rematch against Fisher, in my opinion. We weren't able to take a map off them. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be there. But, yeah.
There's maybe.
Yeah, and then there's also some teams, I think, that... Oh, definitely SFU. We want a rematch. 1,000%. But yeah, I think those 3 teams are on the top of the list right now.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us here, man. We'll let you get on to your weekend, but while we have you here, before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give while you're on stream?
Shout out our club. They're sponsoring us to sending us to Texas. And then shout out my teammates and my coach, Meta, who just recently joined. they really, we all have each other's backs, and love them to death. And thank you guys for casting.
Nice. Yeah. Well, anytime. I always love to get in the server and watch a couple SJSU games to let you get onto your weekend now. Thank you so much for joining us, Cam.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you. Man, I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like everyone who wants to take an interview is always the humblest person you could possibly see and just the chillest. Like, the vibes seem immaculate there. It's no wonder that team is able to stay so calm under pressure.
Yeah, we gotta get some like darkest or moves interviews, Someone who's not afraid to talk some smack. I love Cam. He's a great guy though. He's always had a really level head to him, and it really comes out when they play in the server too. But I think that about does it for us, doesn't it, Kat? I mean, that does it for the online portion of CECC Valorant for the year.
Yeah, it certainly does. It all goes down to Texas, of course, for May Madness, and a couple more teams still looking to book their ticket in as well. The LCQ continues the upcoming week. It's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Overwatch 2, as you mentioned, Paul. Finals for Surf Smash, on Thursday, Overwatch 2 on Friday. So if you're looking for that action, that's where to find it. And of course, it'll be right here as well on twitch.tv/esportsu. But for tonight, for Valorant, I've been Catinator. That's been Plausible. Congratulations one more time to San Jose State, and we'll catch you next week.
Welcome to the LCQ Finals.